Park employee who called 911 for help.
Is the parents there?
Yeah, they're here. They're out looking for him.
The FBI continues to be involved in the search. Investigators have checked a landfill and a residence as part of the process. They're also looking to talk with a jogger and photographer said to have been in the park Saturday. In North Carolina, Chris Hoke, Fox News.
Flash flooding trapping people in homes and vehicles in North Alabama. Torrents of rain from a cold front moving through the state. Low-lying areas near Birmingham among those hardest hit, and forecasters say there could be a few more inches of rain before all is said and done. The Fed hikes its benchmark interest rate for the third time this year.
The Fed has been rolling back policies aimed at stimulating the economy since the financial crisis, raising rates 8 times since 2015, with one more increase penciled in for this year and 3 forecasts for 2019. And in a surprising twist, the Fed dropping its long-standing language from its statement, saying its monetary policy remains accommodative. By doing so, it may be signaling its resolve to keep raising rates. For consumers, this is both good news and bad news. An increase in rates will translate to a higher borrowing cost, while savers may earn more interest on their deposits.
Fox's Hillary Barsky. Well, the Fed chief was upbeat about the economy in a news conference after the rate hike, but he also sparked some renewed concern about the possible impact of ongoing trade disputes, and that's getting the blame for the late sell-off on Wall Street. Again, the Dow down more than 100 points at the closing bell. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
This GovGuam open enrollment season, GRMC recommends selecting Calvo Select Care to ensure the best care for your family, especially your children. We all hope for good health, but should an emergency arise, it's good to know your child is fully covered to receive the best medical care using the latest technology available. Your child deserves the best. Calvo Select Care is the only insurance plan that includes GRMC for GovGuam employees and retirees. GRMC, where patients are partners.
Cheese curls and hot sauce, pantosta and coffee. Great alone, but better together. Here's another perfect pair for you. Docomo Pacific has created the Better Together bundle, combining 2 great services for one low price. Get unlimited local talk, text, and 20 gigs of data, plus unlimited home internet speed up to 20 megabits for $109 per month. You also get free installation and a Galaxy A8 Plus when you sign up today. Mobile plus online from Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply. Call 688-KRC store for details.
Taste the sizzle at Chili's with our new fajita flavors. Our signature fajitas are served with sliced bell peppers, caramelized onions, topped with chipotle garlic butter, and chopped cilantro. Build your fajita with over 16 ounces of tender grilled chicken, juicy steak, and a dozen pieces of seasoned grilled shrimp in the family fajita trio. All served with warm flour tortillas and fresh toppings like mixed cheese, guacamole, salsa, and pico de gallo. Experience bold, sizzling fajita flavors only at Chili's. More life happens here.
Honolulu, Seattle, LA, Vegas, Chicago, New York. With your First Hawaiian Bank United Mileage Plus credit card, you can save 10% on United flights to these great cities and anywhere else in the U.S. Book your tickets at the United City Ticket Office, talk to your travel agent, or go to united.com and use promo code FHB18U. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 18 for offer details and restrictions. Terms and conditions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Thursday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. About 30 people who had just arrived on a flight from Honolulu last night were safely evacuated from a bus that caught fire as it was leaving the airport. It happened just after 7 p.m. All the passengers were crew members of a Navy submarine. No one was injured. Turtle Tours bus driver Eugene de Guzman telling the Guam Daily Post that he had just picked them up and turned out of the airport onto Route 10A, Airport Road, when passing drivers began flashing their lights and honking their horns at him. He looked in the rearview mirror, saw flames shooting up from the back, pulled over, opened the doors, and got everybody out safely. Firefighters quickly extinguished the blaze, While traffic was diverted for about an hour, the cause remains under investigation. The Guam Attorney General's office has issued subpoenas for various documents to DFS, Lotte, and the Guam International Airport Authority in their long-running legal wrangle over the award of the airport's duty-free concession contract. Not clear yet what investigators are looking for. The documents they've asked for have been placed under seal by the court. During a motions hearing in Superior Court yesterday, Airport Attorney Genevieve Rapadas telling Superior Court Judge Arthur Barcinas that the AG issued the subpoenas in late August. She said it was shocking and surprising. She didn't know the purpose of the subpoena. She told the judge the airport is willing to comply, but they don't want to violate the court's existing protective order over some of those documents. DFS attorney Ajay Srinivas expressed concern about the subpoena, saying they're obligated to keep certain documents confidential. Judge Barcinas said he'd take the matter under advisement. Lotte won the airport's 10-year, $154 million retail concession contract, but DFS has sued the airport over that decision, and it's now before the Supreme Court of Guam on appeal. We'll have more news after this.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
Sometimes a penny saved can lead to much more than a penny earned. With GPA Energy Sense rebate program, the power is yours. Earn money back while saving on your monthly power bill. GPA Energy Sense rebate program will help lower your initial costs when purchasing approved GPA energy efficient appliances and upgrades with monthly savings you can expect. For more Energy Sense saving ideas, visit GuamPowerAuthority.com or like us on Facebook. GPA, bringing energy solutions to you.
11 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. Andre Bainum of Guamanians for Fair Government is crying foul over the Guam Election Commission's decision to make changes to the general election ballot that he and election officials had previously agreed on. The initial ballot, approved by the GEC, had 3 equally sized columns, the Democratic choice on the left, the Republicans in the middle, and the third column on the right for a write-in candidate. However, that ballot has since been rejected, and Bainum says the revised version doesn't leave enough room for write-ins. GEC Executive Director Maria Pangilinan acknowledging that the first version was initially approved, but when the ballot machine vendor saw it, he pointed out that his tabulation machines wouldn't be able to read it. So the ballot was revised again to move the write-in line under the official named candidates columns. It's been approved by the GEC and sent to the printers. Bainum and Ken Leon Guerrero of Guam Citizens for Public Accountability had asked for the enlarged write-in line on the ballot after launching a write-in campaign for the gubernatorial team of Senator Frank Uggan Jr. and his running mate, Alicia Lim-Tiaco. They finished second in the August primary to the Democratic gubernatorial team of Lou Leon Guerrero and Josh Tenorio. The 2 contenders for the Guam delegate seat shared their views with island business leaders yesterday at the Hilton. Senator Michael San Nicolas and former public auditor Doris Flores Brooks addressing the Guam Chamber of Commerce monthly meeting. It was the first public exchange between the 2 candidates this general election season. In her opening remarks, Brooks focused on federal laws that take a financial toll on the government of Guam without adequate financial help from the U.S. government, highlighting the cost of the earned income tax credit and insufficient compact impact funding. San Nicolas also talked about unfunded mandates and the inequity of our Medicare reimbursement rates. He also talked about the need for new strategies to get things done in Washington, like using social media to target voters in the congressional districts of representatives whose votes are needed on issues important to Guam. Brooks also touching on strategy, pointing out that more Chamorros live in the States than here on island. She said she would harness their influence to affect change in Washington. Both Brooks and San Nicolas declared their support for the military buildup, but each emphasized that the buildup should benefit everyone, not only those inside the military base, but those outside the fence as well. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now talking weather.
Oh, it's going to be Ray and Mike and Paul now talking weather. The forecast for today, partly cloudy skies and isolated showers. There's light and variable winds becoming northeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour tonight. Daytime highs about 89 degrees. It's going to be another hot one. Maximum afternoon heat index could be around 100 degrees. Expected overnight lows 77. Sunset tonight early 6:13. Sunrise in the morning is about 10 after 6 o'clock. Now we joined Paul for the National Weather Service to get an update on what is happening with 94W, that invest down, I was going to say around Pohnpei, but it looks like it's gone a little west. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Ray. Yeah, it is moving slowly westward, so we could now call it more like southeast of Chuk.
Okay, gotcha. But still generally kind of in that area where some of the more exciting meteorological features in our history have come from. So it's always worth looking at anything that begins to organize down there. And has it actually begun to organize?
It's begun to. It's taking it slow, though.
Any other motion that we need to be worried about, and how much is it changing the tracks that were projected over the last couple of days?
Well, this is my first night on, but it looks like it's been close to the same. So
where will the forecast track take it between here and say Sunday?
Well, at the moment, the ECMWF model, the European model, and the U.S. model, they both take it very close to Guam. The ECMWF takes it just north of Guam, and the U.S. model takes it just south of Guam. But either way, it looks like it's going to come pretty close to it.
All right, so we're going to have some kind of weather. Any estimates on when it might be making that approach?
Right now, we're looking at tomorrow night through about Sunday. So it's going to be a wet, sopping weekend.
Well, I like to refer to it as snotty weather here that's going to be coming in here. Any indications and any estimates on what the potential strength is going to be? Based on the loose, kind of fragmented view that I've got, and I think Michael agree with this, it doesn't look like there's going to be much any stronger than tropical depression weather.
I don't think so either, just because of the time scale involved.
Yeah.
That'd be the biggest thing. It's only about 2 days away.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's enough there to start spinning up into anything that's going to be, destructive or damaging.
Yeah, not that quickly for sure.
Okay, estimates on rain?
We'd probably get about 2 to 4 inches or something like that.
Okay.
That's still quite a bit.
All right. Well, I'm beginning to feel a little bit better about this today than I was earlier in the week. We'll make another phone call again probably tomorrow morning and see if there's anything to this. As I said, it looks like it's jogged a little bit to the west. Doesn't look like it's organizing a whole lot. So I've got hopes that all of my plans for the weekend I might still be able to execute. Paul, thanks very much for the time.
Oh, you bet, Ray. And yeah, anything that doesn't get hurt a lot by rain, you'll still be able to do.
I think we'll be all right. Yeah, all of my plans were for the indoors anyway. Mike, you concur with Paul's estimation here?
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to definitely defer to his expertise all the time. But yeah, right now it's so far south that your Coriolis effect is actually very negligible, so it doesn't have that going for it.
Okay,
and it doesn't.
Back up, because I forgot what the Coriolis effect was.
Well, the Coriolis effect is because the Earth is rotating from west to east. Storms in the northern hemisphere will start to rotate, all right, and they'll start to rotate because of that motion. So it's not wind patterns that make the storm spin, it's the Coriolis effect. When you get down below about 5 degrees latitude, the Coriolis effect becomes negligible, and actually then, once you cross the equator, the Coriolis effect reverses. That's why storms down there turn in a clockwise fashion.
That part I remember.
Yeah, going with Paul, though, and again, I totally agree. You know, with Manghut, we saw a storm come in. We had fearful hopes of what was going to hit, but the forward motion is what kept that storm weaker than what it could have been when it got here. And of course, we saw after it passed what it could have been.
Mhm.
And I think the same thing exists with this system. It's not that far away, and they're talking about 2-day time frame for it to get here. I personally just don't see it strengthening a great deal before it gets here. So probably TD, tropical storm, maybe as it passes through on Saturday, Sunday, and should be okay.
All right, I got that. Plenty of weather here this morning, 6:18. News and weather together, brought to you by our friends at Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
The first ever of anything is always special. That's why we're excited about the first ever 2018 Nissan Kicks. The Kicks kicks things up with best-in-class MPG, standard safety technology with automatic emergency braking system, and best-in-class cargo space to meet any lifestyle. Upgrades kicks things up with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Bose driver headrest speakers. Over 1.4 million colorful options means your Kicks can be a first ever of its kind. The Kicks starts at under $20,000. Visit Nissan Guam for a test drive today. Nissan, innovation that excites.
I'm sorry, Nick. I just saw something. I played a couple of videos while the news was playing, and Nick chimes in and says, "That's my party. Good job keeping your head and ensuring everybody got out safely." But he was referring to the fire, the bus fire that took place last night that got me and my daughter all turned around. But then I played another video of this guy shadowboxing on the road.
I saw that.
Getting picked up by the cops.
Yeah, well, and the cop didn't even know.
Nick, which video are you referring to? Which one of these guys is your par?
Nice. No, I like the one with the guy shadowboxing because the cop just pulls up, lights on, he just gets in the back. Okay, we've done this before.
If you missed it, I'll play it for you again a little bit later on, 20 after 6 o'clock in the morning. And hey, it's Thursday. You know what Thursday is? It's Meatloaf Day over at King. Yay! So that's the deal. One of the big favorites meals that they're preparing for everybody is going to be meatloaf today. And if you're not into meatloaf, or maybe you had it last night, or gee, Ray, I eat that every time I go to King's. Well, maybe you might want to find something in the pick 2 or pick 3 combo menu this afternoon for lunch at King's.
Morrico Equipment is the exclusive Freightliner truck dealer in Guam and Micronesia. That exclusive part is important because Morrico Equipment can sell new Freightliner trucks with the 2004 Mercedes diesel engine. If you operate trucks on Guam, then you know how important and reliable the old diesel engines are. The Mercedes diesel engine only in Freightliner trucks operates on both old and new diesel fuel. They do not require DEF fluid or engine regeneration. Freightliner trucks, only at Morrico Equipment.
Portions of the program brought to you by my friends over at American President Lines. They're shipping the future American water tech. Smarter water, better water. We'll also spend some time talking about the guys over at MRE. That's Micronesia Renewable Energy. Interesting times for the solar conversation. Maybe we'll get into some of that with Jeff and Joe a little bit later on in the broadcast, as well as Guam Regional Medical City. First choice for all of your open heart surgery needs. And I don't know if you heard this. They had some kind of first ever procedure that they did on Guam. You remember we interviewed that Dr. Wiederman a few weeks back?
Right,
yeah. Well, apparently he's as good as he says he is. He's got all kinds of tools and technology. Basically did an overhaul on the car engine while it was still running. That's the way you've got to kind of understand what it was that took place. Well, let's see if I can get Charlie or somebody on the radio to talk about that at GRMC.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
It's here. It's Thursday. It's here, everybody. It's what did you call it? What was your meme that you sent out this morning there, Mikey? Pre-Friday or something?
Yeah,
or Pretend Friday?
Friday Junior.
Friday Junior. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. Friday Junior on the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. My name is Ray Gibson. That's Mikey. Helps with the understanding and the clarity on weather. And then you got Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post, and he'll take care of all of our news and needs this morning. And so here the last couple of days, it's not much going on in this town. We're all everything is in kind of countdown, almost delayed gratification mode. 39 days away from the election, and we all just looking around looking for something that's like newsy. It's like newsy. So driving home last night, I had dinner and with Miami, and we're headed home, and going by the airport because that's where the house is. It's on the other side of that road. And we get up to the airport just at that intersection. You know, you can see the airport, but not really. And we're kind of there. And she looks up and she says, "Holy smokes." Which is odd because that's not one of the phrases in her age group. But holy smokes, what are you talking about? And sure enough, there's this plume of smoke looming over the airport. And we'd already been passed by firemen and police department. And I thought, oh, no, please don't let it be. Not that. Just smoke at the airport, you're thinking something went down. And so I was kind of racing against the clock in my head and the light in my head, thinking, come on, let's go green. I need to get over this rise and see what it is that we're looking at. And was never able to get really close to it. But we got in enough traffic, and there was enough room over the left side of the car for me to look out and see the car on what I thought was a car on fire. I was still far enough away. I knew it was a vehicle, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And before you know it, all of a sudden there's a whole line of traffic in front of me that begins to make a U-turn because at some point the policeman said nobody is going through this place anymore, which meant that I had to go all the way around the Teedson side to get to the final destination last night. But an incredible, and by the time I'd gotten to the Route 8 side of the street, Kevin Kerrigan had already showed up at the. How close were you to that? You didn't set it, did you? No. I'm just asking because, like I said, it's been a slow couple of news days, so you wouldn't.
You asked for it, we gave it to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But you were like right there on the scene, weren't you?
Shortly thereafter. The office is just down the road from Airport Road.
Yeah, all right. And so, Kevin, we've got actual audio of the guy, of the driver. Kevin actually had, presence of mind and everything, whipped out the phone, turned the recorder on, and so
Isn't that handy?
Yeah, we'll play that audio for you a little bit later on, but maybe when we do, we'll ask you to set it up. I mean, the guy, and as we say, Nick Perlowski's Pari was the driver of the vehicle, and he sounded from the audio that I heard last night, he sounded like he still had his head together. I mean, he didn't.
Sure, no panic, yeah.
Yeah, I guess there was
another day on the job.
Got a fire in the back, and I pulled the thing over.
Everybody out. Okay, off the bus.
So the question that I had, though, because the bus is totaled, and it looks like were they able to get all of their stuff? I mean, there's 30 guys from the Mississippi, the Missouri, what is it, one of the submarines?
One of the subs, yeah.
And so they had their stuff on the bus.
Yeah.
Did it all go up in flame?
It doesn't look that way.
Yeah, because there's a couple of duffels that you can see in the picture in the front page of the Post.
That's right.
That was the first thing I thought of was, thank goodness everybody is safe. What about their toys in the suitcases and the luggage? What happens to all of that? Because I know how I am when I travel, and I just want to get my bags.
Sure.
And you get your bags, and the world seems right. And when there's a delay in getting your bags, or if something happens to your bags,
frustration.
Yeah. Can you imagine these guys sitting around? You're gonna wait until they can get down to the submarine, going, "Can I have my bag now? It's right there. I can see it. Can I just have it? I want to get my bag and take a taxi home." So the Turtle Tours
not until the investigation has been completed.
Wouldn't it be something if maybe the fire was caused by something that might have been in one of those bags?
The thought crossed my mind.
I thought so. Well, that's because we're both smart guys. 6:26 in the morning. 888-8255. That's 888-8255. Hey, let's play and find out who's watching us on Facebook Live this morning.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. Glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
Yeah, I just took a swig of that coffee and thinking, my God, it is the perfect drinking temperature right now. I wish I could take another one. And I will soon. Dave Duenas and Jackie Cabrera and a bunch of other people watching on Facebook Live this morning. I see Ken Leon Guerrero there, Timmy Lujan, Marvick Pareja, Nick Perlowski, Randy Kruger waving at me this morning. That's nice. I appreciate that. Mike Hernandez. Good morning, Miguel. How was the party last night? Sorry I wasn't able to make it. They had one of those craft beer get-togethers last night over at Rotten Apple, and I was sorry, unable unable to make that one. But you know, based on what I'm hearing with the weather report, it looks like it's going to be clear for the big craft beer festival that's going to be taking place this weekend. Bring an umbrella because you might need it. And what the heck? I mean, the festival is inside.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be just fine. Juanita Machi is waving at me this morning. Dora Marie Ferger, Jeff Ojeda, Felix Regis, and Bill Cruz. Lynn Vince Borja Polino. I see my buddy Yoichi from. You remember I was talking with Oyal the other day, and she was talking about her being like my favorite Palauan, and I said, well, you're in the top 10.
Yeah.
But you're in there with Yoich. There we go. Definitely in there with Yoich. I see Tom Tahadzi waiting, and A. Camacho, Sheila Mikel, Jackie Cabrera, pretty Ashley Calvo Rodriguez is there. Anthony Kaminga in Washington. Janae Uggan, Valerie Lynn Maigi from the Frank Uggan's office, and Val, you gotta get to the boss. You got to get to the. He's
somebody has
radio silence like forever, Val. And here's the thing: is if there's going to be a write-in campaign, he's got to get a little bit more frosty about it. Because look, even Rory Respicio on this morning's Guam Daily Post. See, this is the point. You wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you get to sift through all of the editorials. Now, normally. And I've said this to Rory. It's not a big. I normally will take a look at what the headline is, and if it looks like it's a thing where he's going to bash Trump, I usually just let it go. But today, let Guam voters know, write in or write off. And it goes to a little bit of the history of where we are now, and the history of write-ins and campaigns in general. And it says, frankly speaking, towards the end, these two presumptive write-in candidates for governor are running out of time to let Guam voters know if it's going to be a write-in or a write-off. And I agree. Frank Uggan. Frank Blas basically said, I'll do it if the party calls. And my understanding is the party has not even picked up the phone. There's a couple of guys that are talking to him, but Jerry Crisostomo and some of the other guys at the top of the food chain of the Republican Party of Guam have not picked up the phone to call Frank Blas to say, yeah, dude, let's do this. Have you seen the latest memes? They're getting angry. They're getting hectic. They're getting kind of crazy out there. Maybe we've got to throw somebody else in the ring. That's not a direct quote.
Right.
That hasn't happened. It's not going on. But the Frank Uggan thing, I mean, he's got guys. He's Ken and Andre.
Yeah, well, in all respect, with the efforts of Ken and Andre, I would say you guys just need to stop, because I'm not going to vote for a guy who doesn't act like he wants the job.
See? And there's a good point.
Yeah,
if you want it, at some point you got to come out and say you want it. And saying I won't stand in the way is not the same.
No, not at all.
It was tantalizing. It was interesting. It was provocative. That is thought provoking. But at this point now, 39 days away, just say it ain't going to happen, or say, gee, it would have been nice, or I'm going to do this for a couple of years and then find a way to get back into the political game or whatever. But Frank, buddy, you kind of have to announce your intentions and let everybody else get on with their lives, like Alicia has, apparently, and Dave Cruz has, apparently. 6:30 in the morning. But wait, there's more. Linda Gabriel's going, hey, there, you'll something. And then it kind of drifts off there. Sometimes I have conversations like that with myself. Jules Dehano, Greg Karabrock. Bill Cruz has appointed himself the pastor of the Facebook Live this morning, dropping Psalm 73. And for those of you that don't remember Psalm 73, I'll read it to you now because Bill posted it. But it is good for me to draw near to God. I've put my trust in the Lord God that I may declare all thy words. That's nice. Appreciate that. It's always nice to start off the day with a little bit of scripture. I'm not afraid of that. Amanda Shelton, Bob Lazam is there. I see Linda Gabriel. I was just talking about Dr. Wiederman over at GRMC. Linda says, I just had him for my angioplasty. Really? And she says, he's great. Derek Muña-Caneta, Auto Spot guy. Hey, Derek, how's the campaign coming along? Andy Tadenko, Joe Flores is there saying good morning, and Joe Leah Siolagi is on. Talofa Lewopele. Frank Akfadzi and Eunice Mendiola. Look at all the people here. Vince Duenas, Tedo from up at the ranch. Down at the Pirates Cove, I got Jeff Pleadwell, Frankie Gutierrez, Lynn Perez, Desiree Braga, and the list will grow as the morning progresses. And what shall we talk about today? I've already told you about the sense of grandeur and awe of watching a bus on fire And if you haven't seen the video of that, maybe I'll see if I can scare this up and stick it onto Facebook Live. No. I'll play that again a little bit later on. There is this video here, and I played it during the newscast, and I will play it again. This is beginning to circulate in the social media, and it's at first I'm looking at it going, huh. The things that we have to get used to in this town with the drug and the mental health issues that it seems like nobody is paying any attention to or trying to get us out from under. And then the other part of it is, you know what? All of that, forget it. It's still funny as hell to watch. There's this guy on the roadway out there. Looks like he's in Harmon, not too far off from the Costules. And he's having an imaginary spat with somebody on the road. And he's out there, he's pulling the Rocky stuff. And frankly, to my untrained eye, looks kind of like he might know what he's doing. He looks like he's got a couple of those moves. Makes it over to the median. Thank you very much to the audience. And within seconds, and I got to say how pleased I am with the police response on this. I mean, the guy's messing around on the roadway. Here it comes, the Guam Police Department. And the guy says, hello, opens the back door of the squad car like it ain't his first ride. Yes, thank you very much. I'm the world champion, and here is this is my celebrity ride home. Way to go. Way to go. And I
at least he got an escort. Right?
I hope they took him someplace where he won't be a danger to himself and others.
I'm sure there'll be some padding on the walls somewhere.
Many soft things. Many soft things over there. It's 6:34 already. I'm sorry. I've been yakking too much here. Going to break away for headlines and jump back in with I'm trying to figure out where we are in the butthurt scale. 10 obviously being the most butthurt and 1 being the least butthurt. But there have been some moves over at the Guam Election Commission that are irking guys like Ken and specifically Andre Bain. We'll spend some time talking about that and maybe playing a couple of cool videos and memes for you in just a little bit. This is the Ray Gibson Show on the Point, and time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, 50-year-old Jeffrey Fejeron Vilcorta has acknowledged that he gained access to methamphetamine inside the Department of Corrections Manilao prison and snorted the drug while in jail. That revelation in a report to the court yesterday took Judge Anita Sokola by surprise. Are you trying to tell me that we still have drugs at DOC, she said? That's what this says. Prosecutors said it was a continuing problem. Sokola jokingly replied, how can that be? So it's true. The best drugs are there at DOC, she said. This was the third time that Vilcorta has tested positive for meth use since his arrest in April. He tested positive for meth on August 20th, September 17th, and then again last week inside the prison. Vilcorta was arrested in early April following a traffic stop during which police seized suspected meth and drug paraphernalia from inside his vehicle. DOE Superintendent John Fernandez telling the school board Tuesday night that Typhoon Mangkhut inflicted almost $500,000 worth of damage to the island's public schools. Fernandez detailed the impact of the storm to the board, saying DOE opened 15 emergency shelters during the typhoon. He said the shelters remained operational for about 48 hours. He also said the department served more than 2,000 individuals at those shelters. Around 40 to 45% of the emergency shelters those in the shelters were children, he said. The Guam Board of Education also discussed compensation for school employees who helped out during the typhoon. Around 200 employees manned those shelters on rotation while the typhoon passed. The Consolidated Commission on Utilities has approved the Guam Power Authority's plan to reduce payments under a program that helps customers recoup their investment in solar power. But before any changes can be implemented to the net metering program, the proposed amendments must pass muster with the Public Utilities Commission. GPA is under a mandate from the PUC to re-examine the net metering program once it reaches 1,000 customers, and the utility hit that benchmark in June. GPA hopes to amend the program to pay customers less, contending that at the retail rate now, customers who don't have renewable energy are subsidizing those who do by about $3.5 million a year. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
888-8888. Keep that number, and you'll need that when you want to call the folks over at iConnect and find out about the great plans that they've got on things like your mobile and your internet, even push-to-talk. Great way to communicate with folks in your office. So check that out today by calling the Practical Choice at iConnect.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Let's go drive. Come on, get in the car, and let's go to work and to school and to wherever it is that we have to go find breakfast here this morning. We'll forage for breakfast on Guam's roadways. Traffic in and out of the front gate of Anderson Air Force Base beginning to build right now up around Estumbo and Ukadu. We're watching traffic begin to start getting regimented for the morning drive and dropping kids off. Maybe a little bit on Route 27A by the Fatima Mobile. Don't know what's going on, but it looks like there's a little bit of a line of traffic trying to get onto Marine Corps Drive. Marine Corps Drive actually smooth as silk here this morning. Don't see anything that's going to give you a problem right now. Don't see anything at 8, 10, and 16. Don't see anything from 4 and 10 and 4 all the way into Agana is clear. Nothing in front of Big Navy. Nothing in front of Navy Hospital. So I think it's going to be smooth sailing if you get out of the house right now. That's right now traffic here on the point.
Cavo Select Care continues to provide great benefits for GovGuam with affordable rates. Get free access to our gym partners. Earn up to $300 with our gym fitness rewards. Earn up to $200 with our wellness rewards. Choose from a wider selection of medical providers on Guam and off island. With all of these benefits, staying with Cavo Select Care is that much easier. GovGuam employees and retirees, enroll today.
The Ray Gibson Show. News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out.
Away from the top of the hour of the Ray Gibson Show here, and what is this? You're writing to me on the chat. We've got an internal chat between Mike and I. It says you feel old today. Why do you feel old today?
Oh man, it's one of those days. Yeah, I guess I'm not sleeping very well or whatever. So,
have you tried drinking?
Yes, I have. As a matter of fact.
Yeah. You want to feel old? This will help you feel old. There's where did I put it?
Olivia, you were going to be supportive of my my afflictions.
I'm sorry. No, I'm looking. Everything is a gag to me. Just FYI. No, it's Olivia Newton-John.
Yes,
70 years old yesterday.
Wow.
Olivia Newton-John, 70 years old.
And still looking 50.
Can you imagine, right? What is it? 70 is the new 50? Is that what we're going to start saying? Because what is it? 50 is the new 30.
Right.
No, wait. 50 is the new 25. How's that? Huh? Anyway, there's that, and there's a thing floating around. My sister posted this on Facebook, and it's a picture of a couple of girls, and clearly taken in the 1970s with the question, "Would you go back if you could?"
Oh.
And the answer is in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. New York minute and stay there for a Tennessee week.
You know, in the 90s, I didn't feel that way. In the 90s, I was like, nah, why go back? Because things are so good. But 20 years past that, it's like, man, what the heck did we do?
No,
let's roll it back
Guam in the 1970s. It's never mind just the decade, right? But I mean specifically Guam in the 1970s. This place had it going on. This place totally had it going on. And politicians that were honest, and you could leave the doors unlocked at the house and all of that stuff. I remember distinctly when it changed. There was a series of a triple homicide, and I remember remember it felt like it changed then. Guam changed, and we were going to have a hard time changing it back. But there was some coolness though that took place in the 1970s. I would die to be able to walk up the stairs, and I'm not even sure if this is a memory that Ken Leon Guerrero might be able to share. But I would love to walk up the stairs again at a place called Golden Island Music, and at Golden Island Music you could buy LPs, right, records. Because that's what they were, a record store, and you could buy any sort of drug paraphernalia. Yeah. You remember, Ken? You remember when Zigzag was yellow?
I used to go to Wireless Rock Records.
Johnny's place. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a loyal Wireless Rock customer.
Yeah, well,
I will admit, going to Golden Island and Shelton Music. Remember them?
Well, if Shelton Music, we'd go there every once in a while and buy old 45s that were in the jukebox.
Well, in the late 60s and the early 70s, I'm talking 68 to 70, 71, Shelton Music had the best collection of rock albums on the island. And that was where I got my very first Moody Blues album, was right there. You go to the Exchange, the record section at the Exchange, the hottest album there was the Lemon Sisters. Yeah. So you go to Navy Exchange, and they had a big selection of gospel music and, oddly enough, comedy records at the Navy Exchange at this time.
Oh, my God.
I was complaining about this, and my uncle said, "Oh, you want records? Let's go to Shelton Music." And I'm like, well, that's Shelton, because at that time, Shelton Music was jukeboxes and musical instruments.
Yeah, pinball machines. Yeah.
That's all you see.
Yeah.
Well, my uncle said, no, that's where I go. So he took me in there, and I was blown away because at the back of the store, they had the whole back of the store was a record bin. And so that's where I went and got that's where I began my rock album collection at Shelton Music.
Yeah, amazing stuff, right? Amazing stuff. I remember the first full album that I ever bought, and I've saved up money to buy it because it was a double album. It was Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album that I bought from Mark's Department Store. Right, Mark's Walgreen. Can you smell it? Can you smell the roasted peanuts and the almonds and the?
As you walk in the door on the right, the first thing you hit was the peanut counter.
Sitting in that warm bath of nostalgia here, aren't we? 644 Guam in the 1970s, dude. I'm telling you, this place had it going on. Okay, so I wanted to get. I'm glad I got both of you on the line, Henri Bainham and Ken Leon Guerrero, both of them on the line right now. And if you would please register your butt hurt. One being the lowest on the scale, and this is the highest.
Very frustrated with the Guam Election Commission and their apparent bias over political parties over the voters.
I told you I was going to hear that. I told you, Kevin, did I tell you that was going to be coming up? This is the conspiracy time.
You told me so.
Because that's the first thing I thought of, because they said, yeah, we like this, we're going to prove it. But how many times have they seemed to have slow-walked issues related to your write-in campaign and recounts?
Just about every single time. I mean, the latest excuse that the vendor says that will not read 3 columns. I talked to the vendor. I went to their manual, and I sent you an email, and you will see the page from the vendor's manual that shows how to lay out a 3-column ballot. And when I talked to tech support, they confirmed, yeah, no problem.
So who is it Maria and the commission talking to that waved them off of the paperwork that had already been approved?
I don't know who they talked to. I don't know who they talked to.
But the people that you've spoken to at the vendor, the technology people that you spoke to said, yeah, 3-column ballot, no sweat, we can do that.
Yeah, they directed me to the manual. So I pulled up the manual, and sure enough, there are the instructions in the manual how to format a 3-column ballot.
Right.
And I sent you that page.
Yeah, do me a favor. Send it to the WhatsApp, to the station WhatsApp if you can. Or have Andre take care of it. 988-5874. I forget which one of you guys is the technology whiz. 988-5874.
Okay.
And I'll take those pictures and I'll take those pictures and put them up so everybody can see what's going on. Originally, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago with Andre, and he was delighted because he had asked for some specific layouts for a write-in campaign, a write-in option for the gubernatorial race, including a space large enough so that somebody could write down, I don't know, Frank and Alicia, or Uggan and Limtiaco. Andre, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Sorry, I'm feeling a little bit like Mike this morning, feeling old, although I can't relate to the 1970s thing. Still feel kind of old.
The 80s kind of rocked here as well. You remember when they opened the Micronesia Mall?
Yes.
And you could still go and have Bill Hagan, put all of your cool posters and paintings into frames at Gibson's.
That's right.
Had a pretty good record department there too.
Yeah, regarding the topic, sorry for getting off topic a little bit, but the request that we put in, or the request that I submitted to the GEC, asked them in the design of the ballot to provide adequate space. Then we had asked for line spacing in the design, or whatever the design, whatever they decide to design. So it wasn't like we were demanding anything from them specific, other than providing adequate space as provided by statute, statute. It took a while for them to reply and respond to some of those requests that we had made, and there was a lot of things going on, like the recount and things like that. So we were patient, and then I went to the Guam Election Commission and inquired again. And Maria had sat me down and had shown me the ballot that they had designed and was approved by the GEC board. And I believe I sent you a copy of that, and we put that on our website as well. Only to find out 2 weeks later that they decided to change that. And the board doesn't work for us, but the board does people of Guam, and it's just like public notice.
At this point, and I can see where your issues are going to be there, and it feels like Indian givers here, if you will. We're going to give you something that you've asked for. This has been approved, and then all of a sudden, and without any kind of notice, they've gone back to something else. And according to Ken, it feels wonky because even their own documentation says that limitation does not necessarily exist. However, I do need to go into this and back into part of a conversation that we were having prior to this. I know both of you might have heard it, is that the presumptive write-in candidates, I mean, for heaven's sakes, even Rory is noticing the presumptive write-in candidates here, the 2 Franks, one of them is going to wait for a phone call that's never going to come from Jerry Crisostomo and the guys from the Republican Party, and the other one isn't making phone calls. The other one, Frank Uggan, it doesn't appear to really want this anymore.
Well, we're going to move forward. We haven't heard anything from them.
Well, yeah, but keep moving forward with what? I mean, you get at some point a candidate has got to come out and say, yes, I am a write-in candidate for this election. Bota, bota, bota. Put the signs back up.
Well, that's where you're confused, Ray, because this is a community-driven write-in effort. It's not a candidate-driven write-in effort. And, the meetings that we're having in the community show substantial support for the write-in effort. Now, if Frank had done what Bob Klitsky did, now, remember Bob Klitsky, when they tried to draft him, came out very strong. Mm-hmm. He thanked the people for considering him, but said that he wishes you wouldn't do it because if you're successful, I will not accept. You know,
Sure. But at some point, even a nudge, something like a little bit more of a nudge and a wink from Frank, maybe to let everybody know that that the embers are still burning in this fire that he has for higher elected office. You got 39 days from today to be able to turn out this citizens movement that you're talking about.
Well, that's what's driving everybody crazy on your side, on the media and the politicians. Rory and the political professional side, is this is not a traditional campaign. It doesn't look anything like a traditional campaign because it's not. It is people talking to people. That is the basis of this entire campaign.
Well, but one of the people that needs to be in the conversation is an actual candidate, and I'm not feeling that from Frank, and I'm certainly not feeling it from Alicia, who, from all accounts and conventional political gossip rumor around here, is in with Lou.
Has she come out and said she's in with Lou?
No, but she hasn't come out and said I'm not in with Lou. You know, she gotta. At some point, somebody's got to say something.
By that logic, since Frank hasn't said he's not a candidate, he is a candidate. If we follow your logic,
I got that from Ken Joe. If you're out, say you're in. No, I'm serious. No,
therefore he is the strongest candidate.
I don't know, Ken. I think it's beginning to unravel here, and I think what we're going to have in the next 39 days, and prove me wrong by getting the guy out there and having him do some stumps, at least, like I said, a wink to the community.
Well, there's the problem. If I go out there and say, Frank, I need you to do something, what have I just done?
You just talked to a person.
No. According to Guam election law, you see, I have to stay in the box.
No, I get that. I get that. Well, Frank needs to do it himself then.
Oh, I'm sure when the time is right, Frank will step out. I'm sure when the time is right, Alicia will step out. But right now, I think it's the community that is creating this campaign.
I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not feeling it. I think the community. I'm not feeling anything from the community.
I think Andre is trying to say something, but maybe we ought to hear from him.
All right, Andre, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me or what?
No, because Ken was talking.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. No, you know, what happens with this writing campaign is that if the writing campaign is successful and there is enough votes, and we believe that there is, because we believe that the two alternatives, the gun grabber and the money grabber, I don't think that the people are satisfied with those choices. If we have enough to win this election, if there's enough write-in candidates, enough write-in votes, that's when Frank has to come out and decide whether he wants to accept or not. But at this point, he doesn't have to accept or not. You understand? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do. And I appreciate that a little bit more direct here, and let me be direct. There needs to be some acknowledgement that this is going on from Frank. There has to be something, because otherwise people are going to go, I don't think he wants the job. He doesn't seem to be asking for it, even in a nudge, wink, wink kind of way. I mean, it's last night, a good example. Last night there was a fundy over at the venue for Leaving Camacho, right? Would it have been out a stretch to have somebody like, I don't know, somebody that ran for governor like Frank Huggen walking around saying hello to everybody, shaking a couple of hands? How you doing? How's things been since the primary? Come in close for one of those Frank hugs. But I'm not seeing it. I'm not hearing it. And so I see and recognize and appreciate all of the work that you guys are doing, because it makes for good talk radio. But I'm not seeing anything from anybody that is a presumptive candidate. And I think other voters need to see that.
That's a very good point. And you know what? We're going to move forward with this. We're going to continue to put up our signs. We're going to continue to have fundraisers. We're going to continue to get the word out. And we'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. But I think to make an assumption based upon whether someone doesn't say or says something, I don't think that is indicative of whether the person wants something or not. They're just not saying anything right now.
Wasn't saying a whole lot, come to think of it, in the run-up to the election. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. What do you intend to do now with the Election Commission? Are you all done with them, or you think you're finished with the conversation about ballot and layouts?
I'm going to be attending the meeting this afternoon, and I'm going to have a conversation with the Guam Election Commission to find out specifically why they did this, because the reasons they put forward right now don't appear to hold water. And I'm going to try to get them to go back to the original format they approved.
Is that in the realm of possibility, given the timelines for ordering and printing?
Yeah, it takes 30 seconds to change the format of a ballot in a computer. Now, they claim they've already sent off the format yesterday, so I highly doubt that they printed the ballots between
in
yesterday
the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's why it's very important that I attend that meeting and see what we can do to correct this change. Because this change was done without any notice.
I recognize that. One other thing here. You've got a case still in court. Has anything happened? Any movement on the case that you took to the courts?
I'm still waiting for the Guam Election Commission to let the judge know whether or not they have any objections to him hearing the case or not.
Okay.
And as far as I know, they have not responded yet.
And for Andre, one last note here. Get ready to work on Friday, the 23rd of November, January the 7th, January the 8th, and February the 4th. Simon Sanchez, 4-day makeup schedule, buddy.
I got it, and and I gotta get ready to go to work even today. So I gotta hang up on you guys right now, and we just want to once again encourage the people. All we're asking the Guam Election Commission for is a fair shake. Live up to the agreements that you've made with the people of Guam when it comes to the issues of voting, and try and make this as a fair a process as possible. So thanks, both of you guys. We'll talk later.
All right, guys. Have a fantastic day at work or whatever it is, or in court or at the Election Commission, waiting for shoes to drop all over the place. So that's an interesting piece, I think, of political gossip that we get to chew on here this morning, absent anything else that might be going on. GW Frank Gumatautau writing, "Good morning, Guam. Hey, I didn't see you at the fundraiser last night for leaving." Oh, that's right, because you're the campaign guy for Doug. I think I see what's happening there. Minute and a half before 7 o'clock in the morning. Coming up, I've got the Fox News Live, and then Kevin Kerrigan with a look at all of the big stories that are going on. And, yeah, there's a couple more videos. While Kevin is telling you the story about the bus fire last night on the airport road, I might actually get around to playing that bus fire video. And a whole lot of people, citizen journalists, I appreciate it. But I will ask for one more time. No, actually about a dozen more times. I will ask if you are preparing, if you are shooting video for me or the television stations or the Guam Daily Post or whoever, please turn your phone to the side. Please shoot in a horizontal format, and because that will put the aspect ratio correct. You know how it is when you're watching a video or something like that, and it shows up long ways on your phone, and it doesn't fill up the screen, and you feel like you've been ripped off. We feel exactly the same way. So, like I said, turn the phone to the side. Don't worry about it. Won't ruin anything. We'll actually make the pictures that much better. The radio station is KUSG. Gutnya. My name is Ray Gibson. Jerry Roberts live in the studio, and maybe one of the questions is going to be, you're at the head of the Kloppenberg family at Turtle Tours. How do we reward this brave, kept his head together while the bus was literally on fire driver? I think there ought to be maybe a certificate, a gold watch, maybe a new Apple Watch. Remind me to talk about that in the next hour of the program. Stick around, Brown.
The Supreme Court nominee says he's not perfect. Lisa Brady, Fox News. But he also says he's never sexually assaulted anyone in prepared testimony for a Senate hearing tomorrow. And he's denying new allegations today from a third accuser as President Trump again defends his nominee. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
The president criticizing the timing of this latest accusation being made against Judge Kavanaugh, in which a woman claims that Kavanaugh was present at a gang rape during a high school party more than 3 decades ago.
It's disgraceful. It's a disgrace to the country.
And I think you're going to see it in the midterms. I think people are wise to it. It's just a con game.
Kavanaugh in a statement saying, I don't know who this is, and this never happened. Meanwhile, with the latest accusation, all 10 Democrats who serve on the Judiciary Committee calling on the president to either immediately withdraw the Kavanaugh nomination or direct the FBI to reopen its background investigation. Lisa?
In the meantime, John, the president just beginning a news conference in New York after wrapping up meetings with other world leaders, accusing China at the UN today of attempted election meddling, suggesting they're running ads that look like editorials targeting farmers in the Midwest because they're upset about his tough stance on trade, which China denies. Fed Chief Jay Powell acknowledging the potential impacts of ongoing trade disputes with China and others. That prompted a late sell-off on Wall Street. Overall, though, Powell was upbeat about the economy.
An economy where unemployment remains in the high and middle threes throughout the entire forecast period, and inflation remains very close to 2%. That is what the forecast shows.
He spoke after the third Fed rate hike of the year. One more is still expected. Officials in San Francisco just confirming more cracks in support beams at the $2 billion downtown transit terminal that just opened last month. It's been shut down temporarily now as inspections continue. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Are high power bills sending your budget into chaos? Take control with the help of Micronesia Renewable Energy. Using the highest quality panels, a solar energy system from MRE will guarantee to save you money on power. With MRE, Christmas starts in September. With every solar energy system, homeowners not only get $400 for signing up, but also an entry for a chance to win $1,000 in cold, hard cash, just in time for Christmas. It pays to be an MRE customer. Conditions apply. Call 632-2613 for details. MRE, the smarter choice.
The flood misery isn't over yet in the Carolinas.
Hurricane Florence rained down a lot of water in the Carolinas, and now the Petey River Basin in South Carolina is once again flooding, especially in Georgetown County between Charleston and Myrtle Beach.
All three river systems were flooded, not only from the water from South Carolina, but that it came in the second wave from North Carolina.
South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster. The county began ordering evacuations for likely tens of thousands of people. Many of the rivers should crest today, but they'll need to recede next. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Heavy rain causing flash flooding in northern Alabama and eastern Tennessee, trapping some residents in homes and cars. And forecasters warn several more inches of rain are possible. Meantime, Kirk making a comeback, turning back into a tropical storm in the western Atlantic, with warnings up from Barbados to Guadeloupe. Kirk could move into the eastern Caribbean Sea by Friday morning. The U.S. divorce rate dropping 18% from 2008 to 2016 in a new study conducted by the University of Maryland.
Researchers say millennials and Generation Xers are waiting until they are older and more financially sound before settling down, as opposed to baby boomers who continue to divorce at unusually high rates. Bowling Green's National Center for Family and Marriage Research says from 1990 to 2015, the divorce rate doubled for folks between the ages of 55 and 64 and tripled for those 65 and older. University of Maryland sociology professor Philip Cohen says one of the reasons for the decline is that the married population is getting older and more highly educated, adding couples are waiting until they are more economically stable to marry.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. The U.S. House voting now on a package of spending bills designed to fund the Pentagon and avoid a partial government shutdown. Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
Honolulu, Seattle, LA, Vegas, Chicago, New York. With your first Hawaiian Bank United Mileage Plus credit card, you can save 10% on United flights to these great cities and anywhere else in the U.S. Book your tickets at the United City Ticket Office, talk to your travel agent, or go to united.com and use promo code FHB18U. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 18 for offer details and restrictions. Terms and conditions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
No one ever plans to be sick, especially when you're young. But sometimes things happen, and there you are with huge out-of-pocket expenses. And if your care requires you to go off island because your insurance doesn't include GRMC, you have hotel, food, and transportation costs on top of your medical copay. If you're a GovGuam employee or retiree, choose Calvo Select Care. It includes GRMC, and should an emergency arise, we're right here. GRMC, where patients are partners.
Morico Equipment is the exclusive Freightliner truck dealer in Guam and Micronesia. That exclusive part is important because Morico Equipment can sell new Freightliner trucks with the 2004 Mercedes diesel engine. If you operate trucks on Guam, then you know how important and reliable the old diesel engines are. The Mercedes diesel engine only in Freightliner trucks operates on both old and new diesel fuel. They do not require DEF fluid or engine regeneration. Freightliner trucks, only at Morico Equipment.
Get a 20-ounce stainless steel Circle K Coffee Club tumbler. Just stop into any Circle K, sign up for our Power Pass rewards program, and after your purchase of 15 cups of premium coffee, any size, you get your tumbler for free. While supplies last, conditions apply. See store for details. Get a 20-ounce stainless steel Circle K Coffee Club tumbler. Just swipe your Power Pass key fob when you purchase Circle K Premium Coffee, any size. And after 15 cups, you'll get your tumbler for free. While supplies last, conditions apply. See store for details.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Thursday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The Guam Attorney General's office has issued subpoenas for various documents to DFS, Lotte, and the Guam International Airport Authority in their long-running legal wrangle over the award of the airport's duty-free concession contract. Not clear yet what investigators are looking for. The documents they've asked for, at least some of them, have been placed under seal by the court. During a motions hearing in Superior Court yesterday, Airport Attorney Genevieve Rapadas telling Superior Court Judge Arthur Barcenas that the AG issued the subpoena in late August. She said it was shocking and surprising. She didn't know the purpose of the subpoena. She told the judge the airport is willing to comply, but they don't want to violate the court's existing protective order. DFS attorney Jay Srinivas expressed concern, saying they're obligated to keep certain documents confidential. Judge Barcenas said he would take the matter into consideration. Lotte won the airport's concession contract, but DFS sued the airport over its decision to award the contract that they once had to Lotte. The contract has been declared void by Judge Barcenas, but that decision is now on appeal before the Guam Supreme Court. Andre Bainum of Guamanians for Fair Government is crying foul over the Guam Election Commission's decision to make changes to the general election ballot that he and election officials had initially agreed on. The initial ballot, approved by the GEC, had 3 equally sized columns, the Democratic choice on the left, Republicans in the middle, and the third column on the right for a write-in candidate. However, that ballot has since been rejected, and Bainum says that the revised version doesn't leave enough room for write-ins. GEC Executive Director Maria Pangilinan acknowledging that the first version was initially approved, but when the ballot machine vendor saw it, he pointed out that his tabulators wouldn't be able to read it. So the ballot was revised again to remove the write-in line and then move it under the official named candidate columns. It's been approved by the GEC and sent to the printers. Bainum and Ken Leon Guerrero of Guam Citizens for Public Accountability asked for the enlarged write-in line on the ballot after launching a write-in campaign for the gubernatorial team of Senator Frank Huggan Jr. and his running mate, Alicia Limtiaco. They finished second in the August primary to the Democratic gubernatorial team of Lou Leon Guerrero and Josh Tenorio. We'll have more news after this.
Cavo Select Care continues to provide great benefits for GovGuam with affordable rates. Get free access to our gym partners. Earn up to $300 with our gym fitness rewards. Earn up to $200 with our wellness rewards. Choose from a wider selection of medical providers on Guam and off island. With all of these benefits, staying with Cavo Select Care is that much easier. GovGuam employees and retirees, enroll today.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
News time here at The Point is 11 minutes past 7 a.m. The Port Authority of Guam reporting that more than $780,000 in damage and costs hit the port during Typhoon Mangkhut. General Manager Joanne Brown telling board members during a meeting yesterday that they met with FEMA officials and briefed them on the damage done. She said ultimately we'll have to see what, if any, FEMA will address in terms of compensation. The most recent claim to FEMA for prior storm damage was about $80,000, but the Port Authority received just $19,000 in compensation the last time. The costs this time include those for personnel as well as the assessment. It also includes damage done to port facilities and the Agate Small Boat Marina. DOC Superintendent John Fernandez, meanwhile, telling the school board on Tuesday night that Typhoon Mangkhut inflicted almost $500,000 worth of damage to the island's public schools. Fernandez detailed the impact of the storm to the board during that meeting, DOE opening 15 emergency shelters at various schools during the typhoon and its aftermath. Those 15 shelters remain open for about 48 hours until Wednesday morning for most of them. More than 2,000 people sought shelter during that time. Over 40% of them were children, and about 200 DOE employees staffed the shelters during those days. They needed to be compensated, said Fernandez. The hours worked and the amount to be compensated is still being assessed. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now take a look at the weather.
Well, partly cloudy skies today and isolated showers. Expect light and variable winds becoming northeast 5 to 10 miles an hour tonight. It'll be hot, 89 degrees on the thermometer, but it'll feel like 100. That's what the heat index does, and that's the contribution today. Overnight lows of about 77 degrees this evening. Sunset tonight, 6:13. We'll watch the sun come up tomorrow morning about 10 minutes after 6 o'clock in the morning. Haven't looked at the satellite map, and the radar gizmo is down. There's still is.
Yeah, that motor's busted, and, they've got to get it shipped in from the mainland probably, so that'll be next week before it gets
there's airplanes that come in from the States all the time.
Yeah.
You just stick one of those little motors on that, but that motor's been giving them a hard time since...
The whole radar assembly has been in a various states of non-working condition for the past couple of years, and it's just an old radar. So,
do we need to have a bake sale or a car wash or something?
Probably
like
wouldn't hurt.
A fundraiser at venue for some. Maybe that's not a bad idea. Let's do it anyway. 7:13 in the morning. That's news and weather together right here on The Point.
For more than 40 years, we've earned your trust, caring for our island's health, quality care and access to health solutions you deserve. Take care, our island, your health plan. Take care, health solutions that you deserve. Take care, peace of mind to comfort you. Take care, take care, take care.
The 7:14 portions of the program brought to you by my friends over at King's Restaurant. It's Thursday, and Thursdays means meat cake. It's meat loaf for lunch today over at King's. Pick 2, pick 3 combo. That works as well. Tomorrow, it's going to be beef to knack tack. You can love it. Find it today at King's.
Utility rates keep rising with no end in sight. But with Double Play from GTA, you can get an extra sweet deal that'll save you extra cash. Sign up today and get 50 megabits per second with fiber home internet, unlimited talk and text, plus 25 gigabytes of wireless data. And new customers get the first month free with no contract. Save over $500 in the first year and get extra with Double Play from GTA. Conditions apply. Visit gta.net for more details.
It's a plethora of sponsors here on the Ray Gibson Show, including Guam Regional Medical City. We'll talk about a first ever thing that happened over at GRMC just over in the last couple of days before too much longer. Also, Micronesia Renewable Energy. Never been a better time to go solar. We got our friends over at American President Line Shipping the Future and American Water Tech. Smarter water, better water. Need some money? Think about First Hawaiian Bank, FHB, where it all starts with yes.
Taste the sizzle at Chili's with our new fajita flavors. Our signature fajitas are served with sliced bell peppers, caramelized onions, topped with chipotle garlic butter, and chopped cilantro. Build your fajita with over 16 ounces of tender grilled chicken, juicy steak, and a dozen pieces of seasoned grilled shrimp in the family fajita trio. All served with warm flour tortillas and fresh toppings like mixed cheese, guacamole, salsa, and pico de gallo. Experience bold, sizzling fajita flavors only at Chili's. More life happens here.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
Right on, 7:16 in the morning. Hi, the Ray Gibson Show, and at this time we'll take a quick look at what happened on the markets today. Dow Jones Industrial Average, all of the American markets are down here this morning. Dow is off by 106 points, 26,385, which will probably dash my hopes that we'll see 27,000 between here and Thanksgiving. But I keep my fingers crossed. NASDAQ at 79.90, and the S&P 500 closing off by about 10 points, 2,905 is where these guys are at today. Nikkei is going to open up. These guys have been banging the last few days. 24,033. Hang Seng Index up by 317 points, 27,816. So talk to your market guys about seeing if you can get some indexes or some funds that are tied to some of these markets, because they seem to be grooving these days. Shanghai Index up by about 25 points, 2,806. And the DAX up as well, 12,385. The commodities, gold trading now for $1,198. So just around $1,200, where it's been for seems a long time. And watching West Texas crude here, $72.08 yesterday, $72.04 today. So not a whole lot of movement in the American benchmark. Bad news, though, for Tapas. Where did I tell you it was yesterday? $82.91, almost 83 cents, or 83 bucks for a barrel. Today, $85.29. 85. So you remember I know.
It hasn't changed yet, but get on with it.
I'm on Ever Ready right now, guys. If you can hold off on changing the price of gas until after 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock this morning, give me some time to get to the gas station, because I got a feeling at $85.29, that's going to be tricky for them to keep the gas prices at $4.43. That's just a warning, guys. I just want to let you know that that's where Tapas is these days. And Tapas, of course, is the oil that turns into the gasoline that goes into virtually every car that is driven around here on Guam. 7:18 in the morning, and Jerry Roberts in the studio. Good morning, buddy. How you doing there?
Good morning. You know, I noticed something up here.
What'd you notice?
This is. I wish I can get a shot of this. Can I get a shot of this?
It's corporate secrets is industrial software. What do you got there? What are you looking at?
This is the program log.
Right.
Okay.
That's the thing that Mike looks at, and I look at it so I know what's coming up.
Yeah. Where's my name?
Oh. It's if
you see this. I've been here I'm out of the probationary period, aren't I?
He doesn't see his name.
It's been 6 months.
This is how I know.
7 months already.
This is how I know I'm talking to Jerry Roberts.
165 extra points later, and I can't get my name or the words the extra point up
There
here.
are points in time where a person reaches a certain degree of wisdom that they remain nameless. They don't need to be named because
apparently I'm not there yet.
Now hold on. So he's talking about the program log, the thing that shows us where. Yeah, it just shows us where we are in the program. Now, if we were to do an extra point, it would say the extra point with Jerry Roberts, right?
I would pull the file on down over there.
It would say the extra point with Jerry Roberts, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Today, one of the toughest lessons you'll ever have to learn.
I didn't say start. Did I say
sorry.
start?
Let me back away.
All right. I just know because
I heard it twice. I thought that was it.
No. I'm.
Hang on a second.
I was wanting to
Bad announcer.
lingering onto something else that I was playing around with here. A couple of topics, a couple of thoughts in my head. One of them was as I said, Shelley posted a thing on Facebook yesterday. It's a picture of a couple of girls, 70s hotties, with the question: Would you like to go back to the 1970s? You ever? Now you were here. You were a broadcast legend, creating that legend,
And still is.
and the 1970s.
Oh, Kevin,
but
you're
yeah. No, we're just pouring
In
it
the
on thick, aren't we?
1970s,
Yeah, in the 1970s, right?
By the way, being so nice will not make up for the name by not being up there, by the way, but I appreciate it.
I'll talk to the traffic guy.
Thank you. Anyway, you were saying?
No, I was saying, in the 1970s, as you were building the legend, the platform of the legend of Jerry Roberts, that was a pretty fun time. Guam in the 70s. Which parts would you go back to? I mean, just ponder it for just a second. Think about it.
You know what? This could be a long conversation, but I tell you, no one locked their doors. You didn't really. You didn't. There were 70,000 people in Guam, not 170,000. There were very few streetlights. The roads were a little more narrow, but it didn't matter because there were so few cars out there. When you went to the airport, you knew everybody. Yeah. Okay, you went to the post office, you knew everybody. I mean, it was just a different time. I think there was a lot of charm then in Guam at the time that perhaps is missing today a little bit.
It's the Ray Gibson make Guam Guam again kind of thing, just something as simple as not so many streetlights. You think about it now. If you go from where we are here at the compound, right across from DPW to Agana, there are probably more streetlights now up and down there than there were. Just that one section of roadway that I just quoted, there are probably more streetlights there than there were on the entire island up until about 76, 77.
And I wish they were all calibrated, too.
One of these days.
Back in the day, you didn't have to worry about it because there weren't that many.
That's right. And there weren't a whole lot of restaurants. You know, think about the choices of restaurants that we've got today. And you go back to about the middle of the 1970s and ponder the literally handful of places where you could go and get something to eat.
Yeah. Well, when we were publishing directions, Ken Stewart, the Guam food guy, he was doing a directory for us, a little side project, and I asked him, how many restaurants, how many eateries in the island? It's like 700.
Right.
I said, what are you talking about? And he gave me a list.
You up and down.
And that was then.
A for Applebee's.
So now, it's just everywhere. For this size of community, a couple of things stand out. For this size of community, the number of quality food establishments is astounding. If you go to a community of 170,000 people back in the mainland, you don't have anywhere near this.
Right.
Okay? And the other thing is, the number and quality of radio stations is pretty good for this size of community, too.
There's always too many of those.
Well, of course.
I mean, and we go back to a time where literally there were like three or four of us, and most of them went off the air at midnight. You remember? It's nobody listening after midnight. Just turn the transmitter off and save some electric. 7:23 in the morning, and another point that I'll ponder with you on the other side of this morning's Extra Point.
Today, one of the toughest lessons you'll ever have to learn if you want to be successful. I'm Jerry Roberts, and I've got 4 words that may ruffle your feathers a bit, but also might smooth the path for you to achieve just about everything you want. Let's get to it. On the Extra Point, the 4 words, it's not about you. Anyone who is blessed to work in media has a following. That's true in radio, television, print, and social channels. People like your work, and they let you know. And let's be straight, we all like it when people pay us compliments. It's not much different from politics, except for the recounts, runoffs, and write-ins. The danger in either case is getting carried away with all of it and forgetting what you're there for. When I was getting started with morning radio way back when, I thank God I heard my mom's voice in the back of my mind, Jerry, it's not about you. It would have been so easy to go off on an ego trip and forget that it was about each listener and making their day a little bit better and by something you said or did. It was about each advertiser and delivering the audience they were paying to reach. So long as I remembered that I was working for those 2 groups, I was on the road to winning. So my friend, it's not about you. Once this is clear in your head, you can channel your talent and energy in the interest of someone else, which in turn will come back to benefit you. Famed motivational speaker and author Zig Ziglar made this crystal clear when he said the words that have unlocked an incredible future for so many people. Whether this is new for you or you've heard it for years, I invite you to go to GuamTraining.com and download transcript number 162 and keep it close at hand. Ziglar said, "You can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want." It's worth repeating. You can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. Download it, print it out along with the words "It's not about you," and slap it up on your bathroom mirror, your refrigerator, your dashboard of your car, and make it the screensaver on your computer. Bruce Lee said, "Real living is living for others." If you're a leader, it's about your followers. If you're a parent, it's about your children. If you're a spouse, it's about your partner. If you're a manager, it's about each team member. If you're a worker, it's about the customer. If you're a writer, it's about the reader. If you're a teacher, it's about the student. If you're a trainer, it's about each face in the room looking back at me wondering, is this bald guy going to say something I can use to get further and do better? Whatever you do, or whatever you are, your focus needs to be on who it is you serve. It's not about you. That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3 and the Ray Gibson Show, I'm Jerry Roberts.
So it's not about me.
Not about you.
You know who it should be about? A guy named Eugene de Guzman.
Okay.
Do you recognize the name?
I don't.
He's a bus driver for Turtle Tours.
I like it.
And he was the guy that was behind the wheel last night when the bus caught fire. So it got 30 guys in it, the replacement crew for one of the submarines, and presence of mind. People were honking the horn and trying to get his attention and let him know that there were flames shooting out the back of the rig. And he got suitably warned and sufficiently noted that there was a bus on fire and he was driving it, and he pulled it over and proceeded to escort and make sure that everybody got safely off the bus. He was the last one to go.
Good job.
Yeah. And so let's say that you are one of the Kloppenbergs at Turtle Tours.
You're going to get me in trouble here, aren't you? Bruce, whatever he's about to say, it didn't come from me.
Yeah, just
maybe not.
How do you recognize an employee like that, and how do you use this as a training moment, a teaching moment for everybody else in the shop?
Well, first of all, I know the Kloppenbergs. I know Bruce for a long time. Bruce is going to do something special for this guy. I can tell you that right now.
Vice president.
Maybe. But what you do, I think, you get all the crew together at some point, have a little bit of food, and talk through it. I think that's one of those things you do. Everybody gets together, and you honor Mr. de Guzman. But the other thing is, let him talk it out. I mean, what did he do? How did he feel about that when it was happening? What was going through his mind?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure that the folks that were on that bus, some of those people are going to want to show up at that little gathering too, maybe.
Yeah, a little reunion here.
Maybe so.
Would a barbecue be appropriate?
A barbecue would be appropriate for something like that. And then maybe a letter of commendation and perhaps something that's negotiable in the restaurants, perhaps, and something along those lines.
You know, the Kloppenbergs know a few people in the hospitality and the food and beverage industry. I want to lean on that for a second because I thought what he did there was kind of spectacular. And I don't know to what degree they trained their guys for situations like this. But, I mean, clear-headed, knew exactly what he needed to do, and focused, never mind the bus. We have insurance for that kind of thing. And never mind, we got to get these people off my bus safely. Last one to hit the pavement was him.
Well, and they've been doing it for a long time, all the way back to the dad, Earl. So they've been going forever and ever in this. So they've got the procedures down pat. So when something like this takes place, they know exactly what to do.
Earl's Hut, I think, is the name of the place. And we were talking about bars and restaurants from back in the olden days where you might be able to go get a punch in the face for $5 and a cup of coffee with some whiskey in it at 1 o'clock in the morning when you weren't supposed to be selling booze anymore. At least that's the story that I was always told. 728, that's Jerry Roberts. There's this morning's Extra Point. You can find out more and get transcripts of that. And how many? 168 other episodes?
This is number 162 that is up. And,
Well, write another 6 so I can be correct.
All right.
Because it is always about me. That's Jerry Roberts in the Extra Point. GuamTraining.com and the World Wide Web.
UFC 229 on Sunday, October 7th. The notorious Conor McGregor returns to retake the UFC lightweight title from unbeaten champion Khabib Nurmagomedov in the main event of UFC 229. Pre-show starts at 10 a.m. and the fight starts at noon. Use your remote or call 688-CARE to order this pay-per-view event on Channel 401 or in HD on Channel 402. UFC 229 on Docomo Pacific is brought to you by TGI Fridays.
7:30 in the morning, traffic around the Choice Broadcasting Complex here, and the iConnect is going to get busier because Jerry Roberts is going to get back on the road here in just a couple of minutes. Looking at traffic coming out of Dededo on Marine Corps Drive, it's going to slow you down if you were in the last parts of Jigo and the first parts of Dededo. North and southbound traffic right in front of Anderson Air Force Base also looks like it's snagging up a little bit. We're watching traffic build on Route 3 in both directions near Ukadu, and especially towards the intersection of 1 and 3, northbound Marine Corps Drive. You'll see a couple of issues there, and right after the Fatima Mobile as well. And if you're going to be jumping into Route 27, just recognize the traffic is beginning to build inbound towards the sports complex. 8, 10, and 16, not so bad. You might see a little bit of a slowdown going into and out of 8, 10, and 16 if you're on Route 8. Still clear on 16, still clear on the 10 side. And the only thing I'm looking at on 10 is a little bit of traffic beginning to build at the intersection of 10 and 4. Starting to build up just a hair in front of Big Navy and Sumaya, nothing still up at Navy Hospital. That's a lot of traffic this morning, but it's drive time. 7:30, as a matter of fact. Right now, traffic on the point.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Well, true to his word, Ken Leon Guerrero or Henri, one of the two guys, has sent me on WhatsApp the comparisons, what they've asked for from the Guam Election Commission, and what the Election Commission has subsequently said about how the ballot should be laid out. They were looking for one line across. Basically, in the gubernatorial race, you'd have space there for the Democratic side, and a space there for the Republican side, and a space for a write-in, all of them on the same horizontal plane. Doesn't look like it's going to happen that way, and so they sent me some pictures of sample ballots from the actual manufacturer of the machines that show that, you know what, yeah, we can actually do this. I'm not sure where the Guam Election Commission got the information with which they denied the application after approving it initially. And I'd like to show it to you on the Facebook Live, but it's all real small type, and I don't think it'd work out perfectly. So what I will put up is one of the funny Rates and Oreo memes. I'll keep that so it's, we're all in the same kind of cut in the political gossipy humor vein here. And this is one of my favorite ones. It's Jesus providing comfort. All is forgiven for the gun. And no, I cannot resurrect your campaign. There's some funny guys out there, funny memes floating around here. But I will offer this piece of advice. Is the memes, like I said, are funny, and they're coming in hand over fist. I mean, we're just watching these things just fly out of the very creative and funny minds of the meme creators that we've got here. But I'll caution you because it could backfire. There is such a thing as sympathy around here, and there might be a number of people that are growing to be more sympathetic of Ray and his current plight with the gun grab and the summons and the complaint that had been filed. So maybe pace yourself a little bit. Like I said, still about 39 more days between here and the general election. It's 7:33 right now. Time to find out what the big headlines are, the big stories are from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and Good Morning Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, 50-year-old Jeffrey Fejeran Vilcorta has acknowledged that He gained access to methamphetamine inside the Department of Corrections Manilao prison and snorted the drug while in jail. That revelation in a report to the court yesterday took Judge Anita Sokola by surprise. She said, "Are you trying to tell me that we still have drugs at DOC?" Prosecutors said it was a continuing problem. Sokola jokingly responded, "How can that be?" So it is true. The best drugs are there at DOC, she said. This was the third time that Vilcortez tested positive for meth use since his arrest in April. He tested positive for meth on August 20th, September 17th, and then again last week inside the prison. Vilcortez was arrested in early April following a traffic stop during which police seized suspected meth and drug paraphernalia from inside his vehicle. The Consolidated Commission on Utilities has approved the Guam Power Authority's plan to reduce payments under the net metering program. That helps customers recoup their investment in solar power. The program pays customers who generate their own power using renewable energy like solar power. The current rate they're paid is GPA's retail rate, but GPA got approval to amend the program to pay them less, because GPA contends that ratepayers who don't have renewable energy are subsidizing net metering customers to the tune of $3.5 million a year. The new rate proposal now moves on to the Public Utilities Commission for final approval. About 30 people who had just arrived on a flight from Honolulu last night were safely evacuated from a bus that caught fire as it was leaving the airport. It happened just after 7 o'clock. All the passengers were crew members of a Navy submarine. No one was injured. Turtle Tours bus driver Eugene de Guzman told the Guam Daily Post that he had just picked them up and turned out of the airport onto Route 10A, Airport Road, when passing drivers began flashing their light and honking their horns at him. He looked in the rearview mirror, saw flames shooting up from the back of the bus. He pulled over, opened the bus doors, and got everyone out safely. Firefighters quickly extinguished the blaze. Traffic was diverted for about an hour. The cause remains under investigation. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
It's 7:36, Kevin, and that is iConnect time. They are the practical choice. Call them at 888-8888 and find out why they called themselves the practical choice. A very efficient use of your telecommunications dollars. You shouldn't have to spend more than you absolutely need to on things like internet and mobile plans, even push-to-talk. Great way to communicate with folks in your office and out in the field. Or, yeah, maybe they're in the office while you're in the field, the golf field. Check it out today, 888-8888.
Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959. Now you can start planning for the holidays by getting a personal Christmas loan from $1,000 up to $3,500. Family Finance has 3 convenient locations to serve you. Give them a call in Dededo, 633-4473, Hagåtña, 475-4545, and the Upper Tumon location on the 2nd floor of the Pacific Building at 647-5626. Get your Christmas loans today from Family Finance.
Wendy's new Harvest Chicken Salad truly delivers on all of the flavors of fall. And frankly, the way I read this copy here, they could have just stopped with all of the flavors. Never mind fall, because they've got everything in it. We got the chicken in there, fresh cut lettuce, crisp red and green apples, because there's a difference in the flavor, dried cranberries, and the perfect combination of applewood smoked bacon. And then they've got crumbled feta cheese in it. But wait, we got a couple other flavors we need there. Apple cider vinaigrette. And I cannot say the word vinaigrette without getting a little bit of a tingle on the tongue and maybe a little bit extra saliva in the conversation, because it makes me, yes, it does. And brown sugar roasted walnuts as well. A lot of flavors, a lot of textures going into this. This fall season, fall for the new Harvest Chicken Salad from Wendy's. Now that's better.
The first ever of anything is always special. That's why we're excited about the first ever 2018 Nissan Kicks. The Kicks kicks things up with best-in-class MPG, standard safety technology with automatic emergency braking system, and best-in-class cargo space to meet any lifestyle. Upgrades kicks things up with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Bose driver headrest speakers. Over 1.4 million colorful options means your Kicks can be a first ever of its kind. The Kick starts at under $20,000. Visit Nissan Guam for a test drive today. Nissan, innovation that excites.
Sometimes a penny saved can lead to much more than a penny earned. With GPA Energy Sense rebate program, the power is yours. Earn money back while saving on your monthly power bill. GPA Energy Sense rebate program will help lower your initial costs when purchasing approved GPA energy efficient appliances and upgrades with monthly savings you can expect. For more Energy Sense saving ideas, visit GuamPowerAuthority.com or like us on Facebook. GPA, bringing energy solutions to you.
Portions of the program brought to you by my friends over at Subway. How do I know they're my friends? Because they bring to Guam hot pastrami sandwiches over at Subway. And if you've never had one of these things, I've got to encourage you to try one. But I need to encourage you to try it quickly because it's not something that's on their regular all-the-time menu at Subway. So get in there now. Get it lean cuts of pastrami-style meat. We'll put that on your favorite bread. We'll have it with your favorite condiments. And you are going to enjoy it to pieces. So much so that people will watch you eat and say, I want a bite of that. Can I get a bite of that? And you'll say no. So either order large or order extra to take care of satisfying those other mouths that need to get fed. 20 away from 7 o'clock lunch waiting for you at Subway.
Are high power bills sending your budget into chaos? Take control with the help of Micronesia Renewable Energy. Using the highest quality panels, a solar energy system from MRE will guarantee to save you money on power. With MRE, Christmas starts in September. With every solar energy system, homeowners not only get $400 for signing up, but also an entry for a chance to win $1,000 in cold, hard cash, just in time for Christmas. It pays to be an MRE customer. Conditions apply. Call 632-2613 for details. MRE, the smarter choice.
Has the traffic gotten any better? Well, it hasn't gotten much worse. I'll point out a couple of places that where it has changed up a little bit in the last few minutes. Traffic in front of Big Navy beginning to slow down. Traffic from Route 16 to 8, 10, and 16 also beginning to slow down. Where there was no traffic in front of the intersection at 10 and 15, I'm starting to see a line of traffic beginning to build out there. A little bit more pronounced traffic that's happening between the upper parts of Jigo all the way clear into Dededo, just before you get to Waiseng. So you ought to see a little bit more action on the roadways. Then it'll clear up, and then it will from Waiseng Song virtually all the way into the Tumon area start to heavy up. It's drive time at 7:41, and that's right now traffic here on the point.
Grilled salmon, petite sirloin. Can't decide.
What are you doing?
Making my top 10 list of favorite dishes at Ruby Tuesday.
You really need to get a hobby.
But I can't decide. There's no way I can narrow down so many classic dishes to just 10.
Then it's a good thing Ruby Tuesday did it for you.
It's the all-time favorites menu at Ruby Tuesday Guam. We took our most popular dishes and put them on one great menu for only $14.99. Hickory pork chop, Parmesan shrimp pasta, prime loco moco. 10 top sellers at one great price. Pick your favorite for a limited time at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Oh, I like that. This theme has got some bump on it. That's groovy. 888-8255. That's 888-TALK. And trying to convince Chalorna Freitas Loran to give me a ring here at the radio station and tell me about Dr. Wiedemann's first ever surgery on Guam. There's a press release that they'd sent out yesterday, and there's some pictures on it. And I thought they were very, very interesting. But I still don't, at the end of the day, kind of understand the procedure. We do know that they've got all kinds of cool space-age technology at Guam Regional Medical City, and being able to use see inside the body and be able to take little tiny hair-thin wires into your veins and arteries and being able to balloon them up or scrape this down or do all of that other stuff. But it's still kind of crazy in my head. One of the other things, and you know, because I've told you 1,000 times how much I love technology. And so I've been playing around and have mentioned this more than on a couple of occasions about how I'd like to investigate the new technology that is the Apple Watch. And they're up to version 4 now of the Apple Watch, and you will be able to start buying them tomorrow at Beyond the Box. They are an official Apple premium reseller. And they have got their hands on a bunch of Apple Watch Series 4. And again, they'll be available starting at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And that's when they're going to be able to start selling you these incredible models. You've probably already heard about some of the things they do. Bigger screens. They've got a gizmo in there that will do an EKG for you, something that you might be able to, maybe you've got heart issues or maybe you've got some concerns. You set it up so that it takes an EKG, and you should be able to send that like a PDF to Dr. Wiedemann or whoever. All kinds of workout and activity monitors on this phone, and personally, I like it because of the bigger screen size, because as you can tell, I need reading glasses, so I need something that will give me some options on what I can and cannot see. So here's what we're going to be doing. Tomorrow, I will, about this time, unbox. We'll go through an unboxing of the Apple Watch 4, Series 4s, right here on the radio. And the cool thing is, I get to keep it. I get to keep it. So the Apple Watch that I'm going to get will be the watch that brings me back into the Apple family. So watch as I go through withdrawals, because I'm sure there are going to be some things about. Yeah, the EKG. I'm sure there's going to be things about my Samsung that I'm going to miss. But I'm doing it for science, and I'm doing it for you. 744. Speaking of science, when I was a little boy, we all looked and said, wouldn't it be great if we could get electricity from the sun? Because the sun is out there most of the time, even on rainy days. It's still out there and could generate something. And then they came out with the technology, and it was basically hippies that figured out how to get them on rooftops of farms and communes. And now it's gone totally mainstream, and there are all kinds of incredible systems that we've got out there. Solar that will talk directly to your electrical systems in the house. Solar that will talk to the batteries that you can get installed. Solar that will actually make your meter go backwards as you sell the excess electricity that you generate to the power utility. Now, there seems to be a conversation that is going on these days about how much the utility will pay you for that excess electricity. And in some municipalities, the utilities are very, very generous and will encourage the addition to the grid of these solar units that people have got on their roofs. Doesn't look like it's happening in that direction here on Guam. The Consolidated Commission on Utilities seems to have approved the plan coming out of the Guam Power Authority that would reduce the compensation rate over the next 5 years. And it is my view that I think that might actually have a problem and maybe suffocate a growing and blossoming industry here on Guam. Jeff Foakola from Micronesia Renewable Energy on the line, and the disclosure is, yes, he is an advertiser, but anybody that knows me knows that I've been a fan of solar and alternate forms of electricity for years and years. Good morning, Jeff.
How you doing, Ray?
I'm doing okay, but I'm watching with a great degree of interest the conversation that has been taking place. The utility in this case seems to be discouraging, if you will. I mean, they talk about the compensation rate and how it is being subsidized by non-solar customers, and that's something that maybe will require a little bit of explanation. Why do you think they see it that way?
Well, it really comes down to a cost shift, and this is a campaign that not just here in Guam, but all over the United States, the utilities have been launching a cost shift campaign for, I would say, the last decade, where the solar energy customers do not pay to, keep the grid upgraded with the infrastructure. We don't contribute to transmission distribution. The only thing that we really offset is fuel consumption on GPA score. So the cost shift campaigns we've been going on for a decade. Berkeley's laboratory in 2017, non-biased, very prestigious association, not for the utilities, not for the renewable energy industry, did a report and basically said cost shift's a myth. So it's a great campaign, but it's a myth. Once you start getting up to about 10 to 15% penetration with DG, distributed generation on your grid, then cost adds a little bit of cost, but less than half a cent that solar energy customers actually cost non-solar energy customers, and it's in the report.
All right. Now 10 to 15% penetration of solar participation in the utility. And my understanding is there are 1,700 or so solar customers on the island right now. Is that about right?
That is right. So right now, the distributed generation penetration is at 1.4%. So that's why we were so disappointed as an industry. We just thought it was way too early for the utility to make a decision like this. It's just way too early. And when we, at the last NEM discussion or hearing, not the one the other night where they passed a resolution, but the one before that, we submitted testimony. We wanted some questions answered just to back into their numbers so we could try to understand where they were getting most of these numbers. We haven't, unfortunately, gotten those questions answered yet, but we don't agree with the numbers that were presented.
Because, and I don't know what the vote was. I was thinking about maybe getting Simon on the line this morning to find out whether it was unanimous or whether there was any dissension in the ranks.
Yeah, it was unanimous.
It was unanimous. Okay, so they saw it the same way that that Mr. Benevente was making that presentation.
That is correct.
Okay, and so it seems to me that that your only venue here for appeal is going to be before the Public Utilities Commission.
It is, and we're hoping that that the PUC and the members of the PUC realize that penetrations, it's just way too early at 1.4%. As you said, it is a growing industry here on Guam. We give immediate relief to ratepayers. It's not over. By 2021 or 2022, our rates are going to go down. As we know, oil is climbing. It's Brent's over $80 a barrel now.
$72 for West Texas, and Tappas today trading at $85.30 for a barrel of the Tappas crude.
And there's no relief in sign, with the Iran sanctions and everything that's going on globally. And that's the big problem here on Guam. It's, you're always relying on a fossil fuel that has, that is based on global instability. And that's the problem here. And that's why we need energy security. But we offer energy relief today, now. We sign you up for a solar system. In 30 days, 40 days, your system's turned on, and we're 40% lower than the utility.
Yesterday I was looking around and a topic that I was up. I was looking at West Texas crude, going, okay, $72. It's expensive, but it isn't $150 a barrel. And I started looking around for when we were talking about oil in that kind of price range, and I found a bunch of news stories that were kind of alarming, and a number of them. And the problem is that we just don't have enough of an investment being made in new and different and unusual and unfortunately expensive methods of getting more oil out of the ground, and that means that the current levels of inventories, current production levels, are probably going to remain where they are right now, but the demand is going to continue to grow for electricity, and at the end of all of this conversation, it will mean at some point we'll hit another kind of peak oil, and be unable in the short term to be able to get more product out to refine.
And that's absolutely correct. And, we were predicting $80 by the end of this year. And, the oil gurus are predicting over $100 a barrel. And that's just for Brent. That's not even Tappas. And that's going to be by the middle of next year. So no relief in sight for oil for sure. The anomaly where oil hit $26 a barrel, I don't think we'll see that in the next decade for sure. So, the ratepayers in the communities of Guam and the outer islands, they need relief.
Now, the question that the people are going to have, Booney Dog says, Jesus, Mary, Joseph, I miss coal. All right, that's fun. The question, though, is based on what they have approved last night between GPA and the Consolidated Commission on Utilities, this is going to take place over the next 5 years. Have you seen the calculations, or have you done the calculations on how this is going to impact, say, one of your solar customers or a solar customer that has bought and installed their own systems? Because what we're talking about here, I think, is immediate rate relief, number one, but number two, also the conversation about how quickly you'll be able to let the system pay for itself. These are not inexpensive systems.
Well, solar has come down drastically over the last 5 years, and seriously drastically. But, with that being said, a contract was signed. It was a net metering contract between the customer and the utility. Mm-hmm. There was nothing in there that said, hey, by the way, in 2 or 5 or 10 years, we're going to go ahead and change this contract. So all the economics on that contract were based on that, 25-year contract.
Right.
So we don't think it's fair. No other state has done a 5-year grandfathering out. Publicly, the CUC, and there was 2 commissioners that said it publicly, if the net metering customers was ever changed, the existing customers would be grandfathered in. Well, this is a sunset. It's not a grandfathered in.
Right.
They're sunsetting the contract out. We haven't really sat down and did hard economics on it yet. We're going to do that over the next couple of weeks and see if the PUC does pass this, if it does affect, or how it will affect.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that's going to change our industry drastically is batteries. And in the next 30 days, 60 days, we're introducing batteries with our systems. So it now gives us that capability if we want to, as an industry, to keep our energy and just, say, look, our energy is worth more. It's worth more than what you're willing to pay us. So we're going to keep it. And we're going to discharge, we're going to deploy that energy at night, and customers are going to be able to use that energy that they generated during the day, stored, and consume it at night. So the industry is changing. It's changing fast and drastically.
Yeah, well, and we've already talked about the smart technology. You've got these devices, these inverters, the grid tie inverters, and they're called grid tie because they actually tie in to the utility grid, and those things are getting smarter and smarter every day. And being able to use addressable technology and the internet now, your grid tie inverter can speak directly to the grid, to the dispatch of the utility, and say, "This is how much electricity I'm making. How much more can I send in your direction?" Or the sun is not shining as bright today. I'm going to need a little bit more, and so the dispatch size can throttle up or down their systems as need be, and that's the nature of the cooperation that you should, I think, be able to get into with these systems and make it so that not only have we got distributed a more evenly distributed grid and generation, but you've also got a little bit more distribution in terms of the kind of control that you can have over the utility.
Yeah, and that's correct. And some utilities are doing that now. New Hampshire just unleashed a 2,000 residential solar with battery storage program pilot. And what they're going to be doing exactly that. At night, when they need that excess energy, they're going to be pulling that back off of the energy storage. So that's a utility that's actually doing that and being involved in it. So that's going to be a really interesting pilot program that we're watching pretty carefully. But battery technology, as we said from the beginning, that's the key to our industry, and it's the game changer.
Yeah.
So now installing solar systems with battery storage, where we don't really need that interconnection because we're not going to be deploying or sending back our energy. Now we can keep it
and use it to run the house at night. Debbie talking on the Facebook Live, she says, that's what I've been waiting for, batteries that make it possible to be off the grid and be completely independent. It's not that important to sell energy back to the CUC if I'm not paying for being on the grid and not drawing any power from them. So it would give you to a very, very large degree of independence from the utility. And I know for a lot of people that is kind of the dream come true. I'd like to be my own power company. I'd like to be my own water company one of these days.
Yeah, and that's where the energy security comes in.
Yep.
So if the utility does go down during a storm, a typhoon comes in, you don't have to worry about it. You're on batteries. This last typhoon, we were out of power for 3 days. I'm on battery storage. So, we've been testing this technology for a while now. It works fantastic. We're about ready to unleash it now in the next 30, 60 days. So if the PUC does pass that, which we're hoping that they do not, we're hoping that they realize penetration is too low. The industry is starting to thrive. Right now there's I would say at least over 150 people working in the solar energy industry, if not more, here on Guam. So it's an industry that's taken off, an industry that's thriving. And nothing for nothing, Ray, as you said in the beginning of the conversation, we do add resiliency to their grid. These are systems spread out through the island that actually help their grid. So we're actually helping with their line losses on the transmission and distribution end.
Well,
so we're a very viable part of their energy plan.
I don't know that I need to be convinced. There might still be some questions from among the listeners, and certainly the folks over at the Public Utilities Commission are going to have to spend some time. I'd personally like them to take a look at the 100 questions or so that you've asked of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities and John Benavente, and not make a decision until many of those questions are answered. There's a question from a listener on Facebook Live who says, I heard that some solar people had to still run generators during the last power outage. Why? I thought you'd be able to be generator-less with solar.
Yeah, and that's a great question, and that's a misconception in our industry. Right now, without a battery storage system, our systems have to shut down if they lose utility grid. Once our inverters sense that there's no utility power, our inverters actually shut down. That's to protect the linemen that are working on these lines, that are trying to get the power back up for the ratepayers. Because what happens is if our systems do stay on and we backfeed into those transformers, you have 240 volts going in, but you have 13.8 coming out. And that's a dangerous voltage that could kill people. So, by law, our inverters have to shut down.
And that shuts down the entire system in the house.
It does.
Okay, so next time we talk, because next time we talk, you have to tell me about that, because that's one of the things that I'd want to be able to prevent. And maybe there's a mechanism here, I don't know, double throw switches or something like that, where I can go off the grid, but still have electricity coming in from the rooftops. 8 o'clock in the morning. Hey, Jeff, I wish you good luck with the Public Utilities Commission on, and I'll see if I can get the guys from CCU on the line in a little bit to get them to talk about their unanimous approval.
Ray, real quick though.
I'm sorry, Jeff. I've got 5 seconds, so I've got just enough time for the call signs. I'll talk to you soon. We're KUSG Hagutnya.
Open to changing his mind. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump tackling several topics at a news conference in New York City this afternoon, including the growing allegations against his pick for Supreme Court Justice. Fox's Steve Rappaport has more live.
Lisa, President Trump sympathizes with Judge Brett Kavanaugh based on his own experiences.
I was accused by 4 or 5 women who got paid a lot of money to make up stories about me. We caught them.
And he thinks Democrats aren't really interested in the truth when it comes to the allegations.
They know it's a big, fat con job.
But the president wouldn't rule out pulling the plug on Kavanaugh's nomination.
If I thought he was guilty of something like this, yeah, sure.
Judge Kavanaugh firmly denies allegations of sexual misconduct from 3 women. Kavanaugh and accuser Christine Blasey Ford will testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee tomorrow. Lisa?
Steve, also during the news conference, President Trump was asked about the status of Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. The New York Times reported he would consider using the 25th Amendment to remove the president from office.
He said he never said it. He said he doesn't believe it. He said he has a lot of respect for me, and he was very nice, and we'll see.
The president is expected to meet with Rosenstein tomorrow. The Federal Reserve raising a key interest rate for the 3rd time this year in response to a strong U.S. economy and signaling it'll likely maintain a pace of gradual rate hikes.
Lifting them to a range of 2 to 2.25%. The Fed has been rolling back policies aimed at stimulating the economy since the financial crisis, raising rates 8 times since 2015, with 1 more increase penciled in for this year and 3 forecasts for 2019.
Fox's Hillary Barsky. On Wall Street, stocks gave up an early gain and closed lower after the move by the Fed. The Dow fell 106 points. The Nasdaq lost 17 points. The S&P dropped 9 points. Fox News, fair and balanced.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
The search continues for a 6-year-old boy in Gastonia, North Carolina. Maddox Rich has been missing for 5 days. His father, Ian, says the boy ran off in a local park.
I had park staff helping the search, too, so I felt like we could have found him, and there was no reason to call the police until that time period. Then it got scary.
Investigators want to speak to a jogger who may have seen the boy and anyone who was in Rankin State Park Saturday afternoon. Fears of a government shutdown set aside, at least until after the midterm.
President Trump says the government will stay open. He is signaling that he will sign a spending bill expected to win House approval today.
This funds our military. This funds opioids. This does a lot of the things that we all want to accomplish together.
House Speaker Paul Ryan says he's had good conversations with the president about the $854 billion bill that fully funds the Pentagon and health and education programs. It also extends funding for the rest of government beyond the midterm elections into early December, but does not fund a proposed southern border wall. President Trump has described that as ridiculous. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Uber agrees to pay up over a data breach.
Uber will pay $148 million in a settlement between all 50 states and Washington, D.C. for not telling drivers and customers hackers had their personal information. The company says the hack happened in November of 2016 and announced a year later it paid $100,000 ransom for the information to be destroyed. The names, email addresses, and cell phone numbers for 57 million riders were exposed. Around 600,000 drivers had their data, including license information, stolen. Chris Foster, Fox News.
A sequel to Stephen King's The Shining has begun filming on the Georgia coast. Dr. Sleep stars Ewan McGregor as an adult Danny Torrance, last seen as a child with psychic powers in the 1980 horror film. The sequel is based on King's 2013 book. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
Taste the sizzle at Chili's with our new fajita flavors. Our signature fajitas are served with sliced bell peppers, caramelized onions, topped with chipotle garlic butter, and chopped cilantro. Build your fajita with over 16 ounces of tender grilled chicken, juicy steak, and a dozen pieces of seasoned grilled shrimp in the family fajita trio. All served with warm flour tortillas and fresh toppings like mixed cheese, guacamole, salsa, and pico de gallo. Experience bold, sizzling fajita flavors only at Chili's. More life happens here.
Cavo Select Care continues to provide great benefits for GovGuam with affordable rates. Get free access to our gym partners. Earn up to $300 with our gym fitness rewards. Earn up to $200 with our wellness rewards. Choose from a wider selection of medical providers on Guam and off island. With all of these benefits, staying with Cavo Select Care is that much easier. GovGuam employees and retirees, enroll today.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
Are high power bills sending your budget into chaos? Take control with the help of Micronesia Renewable Energy. Using the highest quality panels, a solar energy system from MRE will guarantee to save you money on power. With MRE, Christmas starts in September. With every solar energy system, homeowners not only get $400 for signing up, but also an entry for a chance to win $1,000 in cold, hard cash, just in time for Christmas. It pays to be an MRE customer. Conditions apply. Call 632-2613 for details. MRE, the smarter choice.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Thursday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The Guam Attorney General's office issuing subpoenas for various documents to DFS, Lotte, and the Guam International Airport Authority in their long-running legal wrangle over the award of the airport's duty-free concession contract. Not clear yet what investigators are looking for. The documents they've asked for have been placed under seal by the Superior Court. During a motions hearing in Superior Court yesterday, Airport Attorney Genevieve Rapadas telling Superior Court Judge Arthur Barcenas that the AG issued the subpoenas. In late August, she said it was shocking and surprising. She didn't know the purpose of the subpoena. She told the judge the airport's willing to comply, but they don't want to violate the court's existing protective order. DFS attorney Jay Srinivas, meanwhile, expressed concern, saying they're obligated to keep certain documents confidential. Barcenas said he would take the matter under consideration. He did not issue a decision. Lotte won the airport's concession contract, but DFS sued the airport over its decision to award the contract that they used to have to Lotte. The contract has been declared void by Judge Barcenas, but that decision is on appeal before the Guam Supreme Court. The Consolidated Commission on Utilities has approved the Guam Power Authority's plan to reduce payments under the net metering program. That program helps customers recoup their investment in solar power panels. The program pays customers who generate their own power using renewable energy like solar power. The current rate paid to those customers is GPA's retail rate. But GPA now has received approval to amend the program to pay those customers less because GPA contends that ratepayers who don't have renewable energy, like solar panels, are subsidizing net metering customers to the tune of $3.5 million a year. The new rate proposal now moves on to the Public Utilities Commission for final action. We'll have more news after this.
Grilled salmon, petite sirloin. Can't decide.
What are you doing?
Making my top 10 list of favorite dishes at Ruby Tuesday.
You really need to get a hobby.
But I can't decide. There's no way I can narrow down so many classic dishes to just 10.
Then it's a good thing Ruby Tuesday did it for you.
It's the all-time favorites menu at Ruby Tuesday Guam. We took our most popular dishes and put them on one great menu for only $14.99. Hickory pork chop, Parmesan shrimp pasta, prime loco moco, 10 top sellers at one great price. Pick your favorite for a limited time at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Honolulu, Seattle, LA, Vegas, Chicago, New York. With your First Hawaiian Bank United Mileage Plus credit card, you can save 10% on United flights to these great cities and anywhere else in the U.S. Book your tickets at the United City Ticket Office, talk to your travel agent, or go to united.com and use promo code FHB18U. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 18 for offer details and restrictions. Terms and conditions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. The two contenders for the Guam delegate seat shared their views with island business leaders yesterday at the Hilton. Senator Michael San Nicolas and former Public Auditor Doris Flores Brooks addressing the Guam Chamber of Commerce's monthly general membership meeting. It was the first public exchange between the two candidates this general election season. In her opening remarks, Brooks focused on federal laws that take a financial toll on GovGuam without adequately providing financial assistance, highlighting the cost of the Earned Income Tax Credit and insufficient compact impact funding. San Nicolas, meanwhile, also talked about unfunded mandates and the inequity of our Medicare reimbursement rates. He also spoke about the need for new strategies to get things done, like using social media to target voters in the congressional districts of representatives whose votes are needed on the issues important to the island. Brooks also touched on strategies, pointing out that more Chamorros live in the U.S., in the States, than on Guam. She said she would harness their influence to effect change if elected to represent the island in Washington. Both Brooks and San Nicolas declared their support for the military buildup, but each emphasized that the buildup should benefit everyone, not only those inside the military bases, but those outside the fence as well. NAVFAC Pacific this morning announcing a $40 million architectural and engineering contract to GHD Setiati Kaula, a joint venture out of Honolulu. The contract is for various Navy, Marine, and Air Force infrastructure projects on bases here on Guam, in the CNMI, Australia, and in Hawaii. The work includes surveys of pavement and topographical conditions, as well as hazardous material surveys and munition surveys, among other projects. The work expected to be completed by September 2023. The contract was competitively bid on the Navy's electronic commerce website. 8 proposals were received. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now take a look at the weather.
I'm going to send you a link to a story that I just found from Air and Space magazine from the Smithsonian. And it talks about, and this will combine a couple of our favorite things, is aerospace and weather and news here. Though it spent 40 years rusting away in the Arizona desert, in October of 2016, it was flying miles high over Guam, the Martin WB-57F. and old-timers will remember B-57s with NASA logos on the tail, climbed into the troposphere on a mission called Poseidon, an investigation of cirrus clouds and other atmospheric phenomenon. Porpoising between altitudes of 8 and 11 miles, it flew around a typhoon, dipped into volcanic plumes to study sulfur dioxide gas, measured the density and thickness of the clouds, and sniffed for molecules of ozones. And then it goes on to talk about how the Western Pacific is the perfect laboratory for studying cirrus clouds, especially around fall. Now, when thunderstorms are a daily feature and typhoons can spin to life at any time, Guam is right in the middle of the action, they say. Warm, moist air rising from the ocean around the island pushes the clouds to especially high altitudes. Strong winds shear off the tops of the clouds, forming the lacy cirrus, thin streamers of ice crystals. What a great story. It's well written, too, so I'm going to share this with you guys so that you can see what the rest of the story is. For me, it's just an idea that they're taking airplanes that are older than I am and pulling them off the Arizona desert floor and flying them around here. How did I not hear about this when they were doing it? Did you get it? Did you get a memo?
I did not.
Don't we have tight? Are we not tight with NASA?
I am not. No.
Well, next time I see Landon or Brandon, I use both their names because I never know which one I'm talking to. remind me to ask them if they know anything about this particular story. And as far as weather today is concerned, probably going to rain and probably going to be thunderstorms, just like that story describes. The warm, moist air going up there and making cirrus clouds that will lightning strike us all day.
That's right, yeah, and it'll be much like yesterday was, although we didn't get quite as much rain, at least on the west side, as we thought we were going to. And today will be very similar, but we're going to get a bit of a wind shift tonight, and that's actually going to be our hints that this thing coming in, whatever it may or may not be, is going to be coming. So for today, though, yeah, just another hot day, muggy, and if you're lucky, it'll rain.
Yeah, I get that. I'm prepped for anything.
Yeah, me too.
But I need it to rain at nap time because I get this tin roof in the back, and it just sounds awesome when it does that. 8:15 in the morning. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Cheese curls and hot sauce, pantosta and coffee. Great alone, but better together. Here's another perfect pair for you. Docomo Pacific has created the Better Together bundle, combining 2 great services for one low price. Get unlimited local talk, text, and 20 gigs of data, plus unlimited home internet speed up to 20 megabits for $109 per month. You also get free installation and a Galaxy A8 Plus when you sign up today. Mobile plus online from Docomo Pacific. Better Together. Some conditions apply. Call 688-KRC store for details.
988-5874. That's 988-5874. That's the WhatsApp for the Point radio station. And so I love getting memes from you, and I like getting pictures and audios and stuff from you. Even just a text, say, hey, how's it going? Or, hey, traffic is bad over here. 988-5874. And what I'd like to ask for, I'd like to make a request of all of the people that are listening that might have some skills. I need some kind of graphic. So when I start talking about the meatloaf at King's, I've got a graphic that I can put up that will adequately indicate the goodness of the meatloaf.
You know how in stories, and no matter what it be, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, they're all kind of the same and got the same features. You can add those little GIFs. Maybe you could install something like that, so you could add a little rotating meatloaf.
Right?
GIF or GIF? I don't know how to say it.
It's GIF.
GIF. Okay.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Maybe every time you mention meatloaf, one just pops up and starts
like
spinning or something. Yeah. They do it on Instagram stories all the time.
Yeah, we got guys that have got that technology. But can I just I did my first story.
I saw
on purpose yesterday
with your daughter.
Yeah, I was having dinner with my.
I like your frame with with nice little gold leaf and all
what you can do. But there's people they're like boomeranging stuff and they've got text images, and I'm not good at that yet.
Well, let me give you a little tip. So this way you can add some cool effects to your next outing.
Okay.
Let me tell you one of the coolest things. You can either have the bartender do it or do it yourself. But while you're pouring your beer, boomerang the suds. So that way it goes up, goes down, goes up. And I'll tell you again, and it's a good standard go-to story feature.
Right on. Okay, I'll give that a shot here.
Or maybe rewind it. Pour it and then hit it with the rewind.
Yeah, but where do I find a bartender is the question. Where would I find one of those guys? 818. and Mike is trying to be the patient producer here. He's doing it. He's feverishly doing this. This is the hand sign for Kings. And he's going crazy. He's like, you're distracted. You're not doing the ad for Kings. I was talking about meatloaf. That's what's for lunch at Kings.
The first ever of anything is always special. That's why we're excited about the first ever 2018 Nissan Kicks. The Kicks kicks things up with best-in-class MPG, standard safety technology with automatic emergency braking system, and best-in-class cargo space to meet any lifestyle. Upgrades kicks things up with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Bose driver headrest speakers. Over 1.4 million colorful options means your Kicks can be a first ever of its kind. The Kicks starts at under $20,000. Visit Nissan Guam for a test drive today. Nissan, innovation that excites.
Portions of the program brought to you by all of my friends, Micronesia Renewable Energy, and they're about to get into a scrap with the CCU over at the Public Utilities Commission because they want to make sure that now is a great time to go solar. Guam Regional Medical City, all about open heart surgeries, American Water Tech, Smarter Water, Better Water, American President Lines, they're shipping the future, and my very close, very dear personal friends at AK Lexus asking me to ask you in the politest Ray Gibson way to go and test drive the brand new, all new 2019 ES 350. They're there. And what I'm going to ask you to do is ask for a particular model to test drive. They've got one that uses the interior leathers, Deadwood. Not Deadwood, Deadpool colors.
Oh, red and black?
Yes. And it looks awesome. It looks, I mean, I'm looking at that going, you know, if I was a woman, I'd want a purse with those colors, right? But I'm not, so the leathers in the ES3, that's awesome. ES350, test drive it today at AK.
The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Yeah, so here's what I know about stories on the Facebooks and the Instagrams. They go away after a while. Right? So if you've
24
got,
hours, I think.
If there's a story that you're looking at and it's like a really, really hot person, if it's a video, then you can take a video of video capture.
Save it.
Yeah. And or just because it's hard to just do the swipe thing. But I mean, if you're really like stalking on Facebook, that's one of the things that you're going to have to do.
You know what? I actually had I've had people screen cap a story of mine and then use it as a post.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, which is fine because I stole it myself, but I think it was for Star Wars Day back on May the 4th, and it was a very rare picture of, I think, like a couple Ewoks, Princess Leia and Darth Vader on a beach. I think it was like a Rolling Stone magazine shoot.
From the actual 70s.
Right, from the 70s, and I just found a picture, of all them on the beach hanging out, and I Instagram storied it. May the 4th be with you. And then I saw that one of my dedicated followers had screen capped the exact same picture, and I knew that because it had the same photo effects on it, and then just posted it as "May the 4th be with you."
Oh, that's nice.
So you can also take pictures that you think are going to disappear and screen cap them. And
thanks, Ramon. I appreciate that. Ramon is just like the story that I stuck up there last night. That's always nice. And it's cool that you get the notifications that somebody might have Valentine's eyes. They're clapped on it. That's always cool.
Valentine's eyes.
Valentine. Well, what's the name of that? Is there a name for that? So it's just Valentine's.
Valentine's eyes.
Okay.
Heart eyes.
Yeah. So there's multiple emojis that make me crazy, right? So there's my Valentine's eyes makes me crazy, and then there's the wink.
What about the wink kissy face with the rosy cheeks?
Love that.
Yeah, that one's going deep.
8:21 in the morning. Hey, time for sports with Blake. So me and my bro last night talking about 5K. So you can imagine it was Levin's fundraiser last night over at Venue. So you had two.
Him and his wife are pretty fit, huh?
Oh my God. So, but there was the crowds that were there. There was like different crowds that were there because you had the legal crowd, right? All the legal beagles that are out here that are Levin's buddies and everything.
Right.
So they were there on one. It was. You know how Venue is, right? So on the bar side, it was all the legal beagles, right? And then on the other not bar side, it was all of the athletes.
Oh, okay.
All the triathletes, because Levin's a big triathlete guy, so it was really, really cool to get together with the guys. And so we're all yakking about this weekend. Not that there's anything that's going on in the tri community, but this is going to be a big weekend for 5Ks. There are, I believe, 5 of them that are going on. Yeah, and so back page of I think we're gonna need to have 2 back pages of the Guam Daily Post. So the 9th annual Spartans 2K 5K for Santa Barbara, the Varo 2K 5K that's going to be at the Hilton Guam Resorts and Spa, and the September to Remember that's going to be at the Akanta Mall in Tumon, and all of
they
these.
moved that, huh? Makes sense, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's the headquarters now of the guys that are putting it together. Anyway, so they're all early mornings, and I'm told that there are a couple of afternoon runs on Saturday and Sunday as well.
Afternoons.
So, yeah.
You got the Varo, right? That's the fun run. Varo. Yeah,
that's the duck one.
Yeah, the kids fun run, 2K,
Yes.
5K fun run. Yeah, that one's going to be that one. If weather permitting and my daughter's not sick, I was looking into maybe having some fun.
I think the weather's going to permit. The
Okay.
guys, when I talked to Paul over at the National Weather Service this morning, he says, it's probably not going to be a typhoon or probably
just rain.
Yeah, a little bit stronger in a fart or something like that, and a little bit rainy is what we might be in for. We're going to watch this for the next 48 hours, but they don't think it's got the time or the organization to turn into anything that's going to be a problem for athletes. Certainly over the next coming days. Anything big going on your side?
Not really. Just like I said, looking forward to ending the regular season for first quarter sports. But I do have some very fresh IIAG girls volleyball standings. I'll just do the top 3.
Well, there's a UFC that's coming up. We're running spots here for a big UFC fight, like local. Do you know
was it Ryzen? I know Roki is going to go face off against a legendary Crow Cop. That's this weekend, I believe, over in Japan for the new Ryzen fight. But I don't know. I've not seen any. Maybe UFC.
Oh, you know what? I'm confused. This is what I was looking for. It's the Sip and Yoga. It's not UFC. It was Sip. Yeah, I get them confused all the time.
That's
Sip and Yoga with, is it Mia?
Mia?
Yeah, anyway, so I got an invitation. It's tonight. Take Care's Sip and Yoga with MIA. Pretty girl in a yoga deal, and it's going to be at the Hive.
Hive.
Which is where?
I want to say Tucson. I see that on everybody's social media, a lot of our coworkers, and I believe that it's the. I could be completely wrong, but I want to say it's the old Crowns building, the one behind the Magic Stop, where the Magic Stop used to be.
I think I know what you're talking about. So it's tonight at the Hive, 6 until 9, and it's $20. And I like this number one because it's a wine thing, and I get to wear my yoga pants.
And, it's wine,
and it's also sponsored. I love it. It's sponsored by Frito-Lay.
Oh. Well, they got baked lays. Those are good for you, right?
apparently, yes, you can yoga and have chips. And wine. This is perfect.
Yoga, chips, and wine.
And Mia or
Sounds
Maya.
like a balanced diet.
It does, doesn't it? Okay. All right. So I've got that in there. There isn't a UFC thing floating around here, and I'll find it. If you want details on this, call Maria over at Take Care, Maria Hernandez over at Take Care, or Catherine Manlapas, which is where I got my invite from.
Okay. Yeah. I'm actually looking on their Facebook page, and I cannot find anything specifically about where the Tamuning. It looks like they are into money.
Challenge stand. No. Oh, we're both boneheads.
Where is it?
Behind Applebee's.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. I see it now.
Never asked directions from the guy on the radio.
We have technology for that up here at the station.
Yeah.
To tell
Google
us where things are.
Okay, Google, where is the Hive? That's the question I'm going to ask. Let's see if Google picks it up. All right. What else you got?
I just go find someone younger than me.
Elsewhere.
These days it's getting to be everyone.
Yeah. Taga Division. This is your top 3 teams from each division. There's 2 divisions, Taga Division and Goodell Division. Semifinals will start Friday, which is why I'm doing this. St. John on top of the Taga Division, 13-2. Teedson 9-6. St. Paul 8-6. The Goodell Division, Notre Dame undefeated, and also harboring last year's MVP in Bree LG, 15-0. GW 11-4, and Academy 10-5. As all these teams are looking towards the playoffs. And I know Harvest will face off against JFK tonight in a game that was postponed still from the storm, and that's interesting because JFK is 8-7, Harvest is 5-10. You got to think if JFK is going to get into the playoffs that they have to win. So, and Harvest knocked off Guam High, so they look pretty good doing that. So it could be a good game.
All right,
and
a couple of notes here. Just got to make sure that everybody recognizes that there is still going to be a United Airlines plane pull event. It has been rescheduled for October the 13th. And they are still taking applications for people to put together their plane pull teams.
I want to. That's really. I'm glad. Even because it was it's usually what, a month
weather.
ago.
We were supposed to do it, and then we had the typhoon, so we didn't end up doing it. 635-1126. That's 635-1126. If you are interested in putting together some kind of a team and recognize that that this is a fundraiser, and in addition to your regular competition, there's always plenty of room for grudge matches and things like that, especially among the different industries. Radio stations against radio stations, gas companies versus gas companies, and internet providers versus internet providers. There is now a number. 11% of adults in the United States do not use the internet or email.
How many?
11%. That translates to, I don't know, 1 billion people or something ridiculous like that.
Jeez.
That makes sense. It's probably a lot of the elderly that just simply never got into it, and they're still alive.
It might be just too difficult, too complicated to sort out.
When you're 80 years old,
I used that when I was working in the 90s. It was just before I retired. Yeah, I used a lot of email, but I don't use it anymore. I don't need it anymore. I don't know.
What do you use?
They don't.
They don't.
At all?
When you're 80 years old, you really don't need to get spam.
Landline? What's going to be?
Yeah, with the rotary.
I mean, think about it. If we weren't in this business, I mean, how much? Why would you need so much social media?
Honestly, Ray,
I know my mom still loves to write handwritten letters.
Yes,
that's the way she was brought up. It's so nice to receive a letter. Like
Shelley is the same way. She will send me birthday cards. Right?
I only write handwritten letters when I'm breaking up with somebody, just to let them know I really meant it.
You care.
Yeah, just to let them know I really meant it. I meant it so much. I sat down and wrote front and back handwritten letter to let you know it ain't working out.
Yeah,
I say everything,
and then I send it to them via the mail.
Yeah, well, you know what? So in work, the rule is if you didn't write it down, it didn't happen.
Right.
On social media and virtually everywhere else, write it, regret it, because there will be a printed record out there somewhere, and even the most faded piece of paper is still more reliable than your memory. So yeah, write it, regret it. Always remember that when it comes down to anything outside of work. It's going to be Friday tomorrow, and there will be football.
Yeah, there will. We're going to, just a reminder, all our pick group members, go ahead and start thinking about making your picks. You need to have them done by tomorrow morning because we'll have a Thursday night game. And I'm not sure who that is.
It's Minnesota, Los Angeles Rams.
That's right. So
I'm taking the Rams.
Right on. So
they're my Super Bowl pick. I kind of have to take the Rams.
So yeah, Vikings Rams.
Vikings Rams.
Oh, that sounds like it'll be a great game.
It's going to be a great game, and it's going to be color rush. So one of them. So the Vikings are probably going to wear all purple. It'll be like the purple people eaters, like back in the day.
That's the color rush. That's that new thing.
That's the Thursday night games. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then into the weekend, we'll talk about some of the big event games that I think are supposed to be taking place over the weekend, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we were talking about opportunities to watch football and drink beer and win prizes.
Yes.
And some of that work is being put together at this time.
Right now.
We're having the conversation with people, and before too much longer, and we'll let you know on a daily basis. I'll let you know where you'll be able to find myself or Blake or Aaron or even Mike at some place that has football, beer, and free stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. And one last thing before I let you go. What kind of watch do you have?
Watch? I have two at home. I got a Timex. I got a Timex Classic one. The Weekender is what it's called. The Timex Weekender.
So tomorrow I'm going to unbox Apple Watch.
Oh wow!
The Series 4.
The news?
Yes. Yes.
Let me ask you this.
So our sister company is Beyond the Box.
Yes.
We have a sister relationship with
them.
Yes, we do.
I buy things from them.
Lots of stuff from Beyond the Box. So they've got all the models that are coming out here, the GPS models, and you can get them in 40mm and 44mm, space gray black sports band, space gray black loop band, silver white sports band, silver seashell sport loop, gold with pink sand sport band, and gold with a pink sand sport loop, and they're going to have great prices on the Series 3s as well. No word on when we're going to be launching the Series 4 Nike, which is like sports dude. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they teamed up. They've got
a while
3.
back, right? Yeah,
they've got a 3 for that. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to unbox one of these iPhone watches and tell everybody what it is that they could be
I like
getting.
the leather. I mean, I know that they don't come standard, but you got to go to places like Beyond the Box, and other retailers. But I like it when you can get like a really nice. Some of them have really nice like leather bands.
You can accessory. I've got a friend that she's got her Apple Watch
For
looks
going
like
out.
jewelry.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Does she switch it out when she's not running? I guess when she's running, put on the weather-resistant band, and then when she's going out, getting all dolled up. She puts on the.
I don't know if she
bejeweled
cares.
one.
I don't know if she cares about it that much, but I know she's got her Apple Watch thing is like jewelry. It's very, very pretty. Big screen, EKG, and other health features, workout features, and something that keeps track of your daily activity. Mine has got the one where it tells me how I slept last night.
I never thought I would live to see a day where the Dick Tracy watch would come to fruition.
It's already here,
and
buddy.
it's here.
8:33. That's Blake Watson. He does the morning show over at Star 101. I'm going to let him get back to that. Kevin Kerrigan is anxiously awaiting an opportunity to tell you news stories. So we'll do that after these.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
I got you. My buddy Willie sent me a note here about what's going on with tropical disturbance and the bottom of the summer, because you get you've seen these things. There's different weather service products that they put out there, and they're all in technical weatherese and use even bigger words than the ones that Mike knows. So I always go to the bottom of it and see what the final word is. Significant tropical cyclone within the next 24 hours remains medium. And as I've heard you say many, many times in the last 72 hours, there are so many variables that are required for this thing to organize, spin up, and move, and they all seem to either be conflicting with each other or they're just not there.
Yeah, it's certainly not a scenario for a perfect storm at all. You've got the lower latitude, which has an effect. I haven't actually checked on the wind shear, but that might be what's actually preventing the thunderstorms from kind of gathering around that trough and getting more organized. And so it just doesn't, again, looking at the potential forecast for this thing, it just doesn't look like it's going to
snotty.
be strong enough.
I think that would just use that word. It's going to be snotty weather on Saturday and Sunday.
Too fast to really turn into much.
Global models, it says, Mike, are in good agreement that the system will track to the northwest and continue to develop over the next several days, with the models disagreeing on how quickly and to what extent the system will develop. Max sustained surface winds right now, 20 to 25 knots. Minimum sea level pressure estimated to be about 1,005 millibars, and the potential for the development of a significant tropical cyclone in the next 24 hours is only medium. So that's where we are. Headlines now at 8:35 from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and Good Morning Guam, and the headlines from the Daily Post this morning. About 30 people who had just arrived on a flight from Honolulu were safely evacuated from a bus that caught fire as it was leaving the airport last night. It happened just after 7 p.m. All the passengers were crew members of a Navy submarine. No one was injured. Turtle Tours bus driver Eugene de Guzman telling the Guam Daily Post that he had just picked them up and turned out of the airport onto Route 10A, Airport Road, when passing drivers began flashing their lights and honking their horns at him. He looked in the rearview mirror, saw flames shooting up from the back of the bus, pulled over, opened the doors, and got everyone out safely. Firefighters quickly extinguished the blaze. The cause remains under investigation. 50-year-old Jeffrey Fejeron Vilcorta has acknowledged that he gained access to methamphetamine inside the Department of Corrections Manilao prison and snorted the drug while in jail. The revelation in a report to the court yesterday took Judge Anita Sokola by surprise. She said, "Are you trying to tell me that we still have drugs at DOC?" "That's what this says," said the judge. Prosecutors responded that it was a continuing problem, and Sokola jokingly responded, "How can that be? So it's true. The best drugs are there at DOC." This was the third time that Vilcorta has tested positive for meth use since his April arrest. He was arrested following a traffic stop in early April, during which police seized suspected meth and drug paraphernalia from his vehicle. Port Authority of Guam reporting more than $780,000 in damage and costs due to Typhoon Mangkhut. General Manager Joanne Brown telling board members yesterday that they've given the damage report to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, but there's no guarantee the port will be compensated for that full amount. Most of the damage was done to the roll-up doors at warehouse number 1, said Brown. The cost to repair those doors, about $360,000. The Port Authority does have insurance for damage from storms, but The deductible is $2 million. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
I have a cunning plan.
Fire away.
The electrical panel at GMH.
Back to that. What's new?
No, we'll just say it's messed up in the storm.
Word's already out. Cat's out of the bag.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I'm just trying. I'm trying to be creative.
Can't fool those FEMA guys.
Hi, somebody said, "What do you say? That's fraud, Mr. Gibson." You shouldn't see. I am capable of sinister thought. Yay! It's 8:38 in the morning. Thanks, Kevin. I'll see you first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll execute a perfect Friday version of the Ray Gibson Show together. The fun continues. iConnect time at 8:38. Swing by iConnect and find out why they are the practical choice. Great prices. I'm telling you, great prices. You walk out going, "My God, I've been paying all this for the same service." Right? So call iConnect at 888-8888. Find out about mobile, find out about internet, find out about push-to-talk plans with these guys. They're practical choice.
For more than 40 years, we've earned your trust, caring for our island's health, quality care and access to health solutions you deserve. Take care, our Islander Health Plan. Take care, health solutions that you deserve. Take care, peace of mind to comfort you. Take care, take care, take care.
Cold Stone, the ultimate ice cream experience. I like to say it like they're wrestlers. Cold Stone, the ultimate ice cream experience. Ladies and gentlemen, they've got some brand new flavors they want you to try out. The banana bread battered ice cream is among them. Because they know how you feel about the things that you put in your mouth that aren't ice cream, and you go, "Hey man, I'm making a nice ice cream flavor, dude." So they tried it, and they found a good one: banana bread battered ice cream, sea salt caramel ice cream, which in my mind has got the same feeling as vinegar potato chips. And I go, "Am I going to like this? Am I going to like this?" And then before you know it, the bag is gone. You've inhaled all of the contents, and I think it's going to be the same way with the sea salt caramel ice cream. It's made with Ghirardelli sea salt caramel sauce in that new creation. I've also got a thing called the Pice Cream Cake, which I think is made out of sardines, but I'm not sure. Look, if they can take something like sea salt and make it tasty, imagine what they could do with all kinds of this sashimi ice cream. Why not? Cold Stone Creamery celebrating 30 years of the ultimate ice cream experience.
Once upon a time, if you suffered a stroke, an extreme form of cancer, or needed specialized care like open heart surgery, patients had to go off-island for treatment. Today, GRMC provides this care, so patients recover on Guam, surrounded by loved ones. Follow-up care happens locally, and there are no additional expenses for a caregiver to travel with you. If you're a GovGuam employee or retiree, choose Calvo Select Care, the only insurance plan that includes GRMC.
I'm looking at the traffic gizmo right now and not seeing anything. There's a little bit of a line of traffic headed towards Assen, just past all of that stuff. Maybe a little bit coming into Agana on Route 8 over by Pokey Fry, and a line of traffic northbound Marine Corps Drive from about where the Micronesia Mall is right up until you get to the Payless intersection up in Dededo. It's not slow. It's just there's lots of cars out there. 8:41 in the morning, and that is right now traffic here on The Point.
UFC 229 on Sunday, October 7th. The notorious Conor McGregor returns to retake the UFC lightweight title from unbeaten champion Khabib Nurmagomedov in the main event of UFC 229. Pre-show starts at 10 a.m. and the fight starts at noon. Use your remote or call 688-CARE to order this pay-per-view event on Channel 401 or in HD on Channel 402. UFC 229 on Kokomo Pacific is brought to you by TGI Fridays.
My buddy Kaz Endo on Facebook Live here this morning. Hey, Kaz. Nice to see you there. Ken Joe Adda is there. And I channeled Ken Joe Adda earlier this morning when I was talking with Ken and Andre. Their butthead. I think their butt hurt numbers are about, 6.5, 7 on the scale. They went to the Guam Election Commission, asked for certain layouts to be provided for the write-in, a write-in on the gubernatorial ballots, and thought that their application and their preferred layout was approved. And as it turns out, It was not. At the last minute, the vendor, the valid vendor said, no, we can't, we're not going to be able to read them if we do it like that. So they waved off on that. And as you might surmise, Andre and Ken are unhappy about it. And then we got into a conversation about what difference, I'm sorry, now I'm channeling Hillary Clinton. What difference does it make? What difference will it make? I'm not even sure that we've got a viable write-in campaign anymore. It was tantalizing. It was provocative. The day after the primary, Lou Leon Guerrero, 264 points ahead of Frank Uggan and Alicia Lim Tiaco, and the idea that there might be some kind of a write-in campaign. And since then, I think the only people heard from Frank, Andre and Ken have talked to him a little bit. Lou talked to him a little bit. And I know that there was a meal that was shared among the Democratic candidates over at King's one morning, and that's it. Do we know if he's even interested in it? The popular rumor that's floating around is Alicia is already in, if you will. Is it in yet? And they said, well, wait a second. Did you see that? Where did you see that? Is that on paper somewhere? Did she actually come out and make an endorsement of Lou and Josh? And I said, no. But she hasn't denied it either. Right? And look, if you're not in, say you're not in. And say that there's still hope. We still hold out hope that there might be this write-in campaign. I'm still holding out hope that there'll be a write-in campaign. Because it gives me something to talk about in talk radio. I gotta kill 4 hours every morning. And when we start getting into something as tantalizingly talk radio delicious as a write-in campaign, well, what can I say? That's something that you'd reach for, like you go to the weather, like you go to traffic, like you give the phone number. Oh, and another write-in campaign news. So that's where we are. Last hour of the program, Jeff Volcola from Micronesia Renewable Energy among our client roster here at the radio station, but another among a number of guys that are in the business of taking solar and light from the sun, imagine that, and making electricity out of it. And for me, it's always been kind of an expensive process. I like the idea, and I've investigated the possibility of doing something like it in virtually every home I've lived in, but it's always been a little bit out of reach. I understand the technology. I could probably do it myself, and back in the day, that's how it was done. It was a big DIY project. Find Bruce Best and ask him about it. And you needed to do your own wire runs. There's even plans on the internet for you to be able to make your own solar panels. That's how much of a DIY thing this is. But it looks like this particular utility does not embrace solar as others have. And they've gotten together with the Consolidated Commission on Utilities, and the CCU has agreed with John Benevente, and there are going to be some changes to the compensation rate over the next 5 years. And that will have an impact on people that are using these solar systems. And you're going, well, why? What difference does it make? Well, it will make a difference on the rate at which the system pays for itself. If GPA is not buying a lot of that excess electricity back at the current one-on-one rate, same thing that you and I would pay for a kilowatt hour, they would pay for a kilowatt hour from one of these solar rooftops. And they're going to be changing that. So if they make it less than that one-on-one rate, obviously it will take longer for the systems to pay for themselves. And there are a variety of different systems. And I'd asked a question, Joe Servino, who wrote in, I have auto transfer switch from solar to GPA, which I thought was interesting. And he's also got a battery system. So I said, Joe, as a solar customer, how will a reduction in the compensation rate affect you? And he wrote back, I will have to convert my first system to battery to avoid that lower payback rate from Guam Power Authority. Joe Michael says the issue with solar is that there's no regulation. It's like supplements, like vitamins. They help, but the government only gets involved to the extent that they want to tax people. He says, I used to work for a solar company in San Diego, but wait a second, somebody typed a message in and it scrolled past that. I'm not going to be able to find it. Joe's last comment here is that GPA is grossly inflating their losses. Their report shows they lost over $3 million in sales, but not through the buyback of excess solar kilowatt hours from owners. Most owners use 90% or more of what they're generating. And so that's something that needs to get investigated. The guys over in the solar industry with Jeff Oakola, MRE, and the lead are probably going to go and pray for some kind of ratepayer relief, if you will, for themselves before the Public Utilities Commission over the next several days when they decide that they're going to hear that at their next get-together. Don't know exactly when that's going to take place, but what the heck, we'll keep an eye on it. Booney Dog writing, write-in campaigns only matter if they win. It's like Courtney Love pole dancing in Anigua. If it weren't for Kurt, would it really matter? No, end of the day, it would not have really mattered. I understand what you're talking about there. Booney Dog, in this case, the write-in campaign could matter if it makes it so that nobody gets 50% plus one. That's how we define a winner in many races and in many election processes. It's not a question of just getting a majority or a plurality, a higher plurality of votes. 49% beats 45%, right? Well, here, we'll need to have 50% plus one. And if there's enough interest in the write-in campaign so that it makes it so that neither Lou nor Ray can get 50% plus one, then you take the two highest vote getters and have them go into a runoff until we do have somebody that gets 50% plus one. And that is my understanding of the way it's going to work. And they would consider that, Andre and Ken, a victory of sorts. They'd love to see Frank get all 50% plus one in a write-in race. They'd love that. But failing that, you know what? We'll go ahead and accept a 47 to lose 48. And then we'll drive it into a runoff. You know, lose or leave town kind of thing at another election to take place. 10 away from the top of the hour, 888-8255. Booney Dog says, wrong, Ray. That's not what Anna versus Gutierrez says. All right, fill me in. 888-8255. But that is my understanding and what these guys have been talking about in virtually every single conversation that we've had. Ray Haddock, among the smartest, most intelligent listeners that I've got. How you doing, Ray?
Good morning, Ray. How you doing?
I'm never been better. Never been better. What you want to yak about today?
You know, I heard about the purchasing of, I guess, the solar credit or the solar electricity, and it was always my understanding that GPA wasn't purchasing solar power from net metering customers. All they were doing was giving a credit towards your use.
Right.
So there was never an actual outlay, even if you had excess credit. So if you had excess credit, they just basically got that free power.
I believe that's right.
And so, you know, I think if they're coming up with a rate that doesn't take into account
actual cash,
yeah, I don't think if they're not taking into account the free power that they're getting, their computations must be off in some regard.
You're talking about GPA's computations.
Yeah, you know, because if they're getting basically free power from those people that produce excess and never use it, is that being computed in this whole scenario of these rates that they're charging?
That's a good question. No, that's a good question, Ray. If I'm able to get one of the guys on the line, I've been hunting around for JB most of the week, and he's been for whatever reason unavailable. And we've been obviously trying to get a hold of Simon. We've left a message for him, and I'd like to get his take on this. And you bring up a good point. If we're not talking about cash, does it really make that much difference, especially in a situation where I, as the user or the guy that's holding the contract and being reimbursed a credit that I may never need?
Yeah, and you know, I guess the other thing too is maybe this really isn't there should be a policy issue. I would think somewhere like Guam and other Pacific islands that are in danger of global warming, rising oceans, you know, it would make sense that we set a policy that's pro renewable energy.
Well, but they do have a policy that's pro-renewable energy. They're about to add, 120 megawatts to the system with a couple of solar farms and agreements that they've just signed. So obviously, and that would take them past the expected threshold that was required by, I think, a law that Ben Pangilinan put together years ago. So that would definitely push the system over their renewable requirements. So they'll say, "Oh yeah, we're crazy about solar." What they're not crazy about is this the distributed generation system.
Yeah, I could understand that, but I guess at the same time, the more people you get that stop using fossil fuel, probably the better it is for our environment.
No, nobody's going to disagree with that. Personally, I'm looking at all of this green waste that we've got laying around here and wishing there was a place where we could take it to, I don't know, burn it and make electricity out of it.
And I think that's one of the the next some of the policy issues that we really need to look at is as a government, should we be subsidizing solar power? Because it really does that. It shows our appreciation for renewable energy. And I don't even think it's really subsidizing. I think it's just giving them credit for credit. But, I would think that should be a policy decision. Maybe it's not something GPE should be doing, but maybe it should be a political system. The other thing was...
Oh, you be careful. You be careful with that, Ray. You start talking about that, and the guys at the CCU get their hackles all knotted up because they were designed to not be a political arm and to make it so that the legislature didn't have to deal with situations like that.
And there's.
I don't want to go back to the old days where 15 people were arguing over the price of oil and trying to come up with policy for the power company and the water company, and back in the old days, the phone company.
But in regards to how I believe it's even Hawaii mandates that you have solar panels at this point. And I think it might have been put on hold, but I think that they were actually requiring that houses have a certain amount of solar panels.
That would be an interesting thing for us to pursue here.
There's actually a law in Guam that hasn't been complied with, but it mandates that all houses have to have connections for solar water heaters on the roof.
Huh. That I did not know that. I've always wanted one because I'm a fan like many guys are of hot water showers.
But I think at this day and age, it's cheaper to get solar panels and electric water heaters than the solar water heaters. But it's we have these type of policy decisions, and maybe that's something that we need like a whole island policy decision. And one of what I was really surprised of was when I was doing some research in regards to what US EPA requires governments to decide when they're dealing with their power and waste considerations, is they say it's essential for all jurisdictions to look at waste to energy.
Mm-hmm.
And, to say that an essential part of planning is you have to look at whether that's viable. And if we would have had a waste to energy plan on Guam, we probably wouldn't have this rhino beetle problem because everyone could take green waste.
Yeah, there you would have some place to put it, which is a conversation that will start again one of these days. It will require 8 people over at the legislature to roll over an existing piece of legislation that prohibits incineration on Guam. That's one of them. Then the second one is there's still a pending lawsuit from Wagdi Gurgis against the government of Guam.
But I think the only thing he has is a license now. He doesn't even have a contract. So, someone just needs to bite the bullet and move it forward.
Well, you got to be careful because that could cost us about $25 million. Bob Kelly writing in, there is a difference between the avoided costs if generating power and retail rates. Fairness requires the utility to pay only the avoided costs. If you are pumping hold on a second. If you are pumping excess power back to GPA and using later, they are your battery. The difference in what? Hold on, it's a long sentence. Oh boy, it's a plenty long sentence. Let me see if I can be read a little bit more into this. I did want to ask your legal opinion on something. Booney Dog writes, my framing of the 50% plus one is not what Adam versus Gutierrez said once upon a time. If we do a write-in, would that not disrupt the gubernatorial race if nobody got 50% plus one?
Well, then essentially what you would just have is you just have to have them you just have a runoff election. And
from the top two vote getters, yeah, that's what I said. He says that's not the way they envisioned it, but that's the way it's always been in my mind. Even with referendum and voter initiatives, they've all got to garner 50% plus one to be determined a mandate. And if we don't get 50% plus one in the gubernatorial race, then that means that there would have to be some kind of a runoff. That's my understanding.
Yeah, but I guess the reality of it is if it gets very close, like I think we did have I don't think we did have a runoff election the last time, but I guess the interest.
You get a recount if it's inside 2%, but as you recall, there's nothing in statute that describes what the equation has to look like to achieve 2%.
But I guess even with the recount, I was a victim of that. But if it's your same party, I kind of disagree with this whole fighting it. But to each his own in that regard.
Yeah, that's it's a right provided for by law. So if you're unhappy with the outcome of an election, and heck, you're a lawyer, if you don't like a law, challenge it. If you don't like a policy, challenge it. If you don't like the outcome of an election, challenge it.
Yeah. Just don't wait till after it's certified.
Yeah. Well, they've had conversations about that as well. They were upset because it took them so long to even decide if they wanted to do a recount or all of that. So I know that at least Ken Leon Guerrero is of the opinion that the Guam Election Commission is showing a bias. So anyway, there's that. Hey, Ray, always nice talking with you.
Thank you.
All right, kiss to the kids. I'll see you on the road. It's 9 already? 888-8255 is the telephone number here on the radio station. You can get a hold of us anytime you want to, 888-8255. WhatsApp me at 988-5874. I'll check and see if I have more funny pictures for you coming up right here on The Point.
He could change his mind. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. That's what President Trump is saying about his Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh, as a third woman comes forward with allegations of sexual misconduct. Fox's Steve Rappaport has more live.
Lisa, President Trump thinks Democrats are pulling a fast one on Judge Kavanaugh and the American public.
This is a big con job. And I would love to be in the room with the Democrats, close the door. You guys are all away outside waiting. And Schumer and his buddies are all in there laughing how they fooled you all.
Judge Kavanaugh denies ever sexually assaulting anyone. He and accuser Christine Blasey Ford will testify tomorrow before the Senate Judiciary Committee. In a prepared statement, Ford says she believes Kavanaugh tried to rape her at a party when they were teenagers. Lisa?
Steve, President Trump was also asked about the future of Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein after the New York Times reported he was considering using the 25th Amendment to remove the president from office.
I'm going to meet with him tomorrow. I may call Rod tonight or tomorrow and ask for a little bit of a delay to the meeting because I don't want to do anything that gets in the way of this very important Supreme Court pick. So I don't want it competing and hurting the decision, one way or the other decision.
The president saying Rosenstein told him he never said it and that he has a lot of respect for the president. A San Francisco official says his first priority is to shore up two cracking beams so a $2.2 billion transit center can reopen while engineers search for a permanent fix. One crack was found yesterday while workers were installing roof tiles. Another today. The transit hub remains closed. The Federal Reserve raising a key interest rate for the third time this year, lifting its short-term rate by a quarter point to a range of 2% to 2.25%. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Get a 20-ounce stainless steel Circle K Coffee Club tumbler.
Just stop into any Circle K, sign up for our Power Pass rewards program, and after your purchase of 15 cups of premium coffee, any size, you get your tumbler for free. While supplies last, conditions apply. See store for details. Get a 20-ounce stainless steel Circle K Coffee Club tumbler. Just swipe your Power Pass key fob when you purchase Circle K premium coffee, any size. And after 15 cups, you'll get your tumbler for free. While supplies last, conditions apply. See store for details.
Grilled salmon, petite sirloin. Can't decide.
What are you doing?
Making my top 10 list of favorite dishes at Ruby Tuesday.
You really need to get a hobby.
But I can't decide. There's no way I can narrow down so many classic dishes to just 10.
Then it's a good thing Ruby Tuesday did it for you.
It's the all-time favorites menu at Ruby Tuesday Guam. We took our most popular dishes and put them on one great menu for only $14.99. Hickory pork chop, Parmesan shrimp pasta, prime loco moco, 10 top sellers at one great price. Pick your favorite for a limited time at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
A Democratic Party leader asking the House Ethics Committee to look into an allegation of domestic violence.
Minnesota Congressman Keith Ellison has requested the House Ethics Committee investigate an allegation he physically abused an ex-girlfriend. Karen Monahan has said Ellison dragged her off a bed while screaming obscenities in 2016. Ellison denies it. Ellison is a deputy chairman of the Democratic National Committee and also running for Minnesota Attorney General. The state's Democratic Party is investigating Monahan's claim. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
A man suspected in a string of beatings and killings targeting sleeping homeless people in Southern California charged with 3 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, and 4 counts of second-degree robbery. Prosecutors say 47-year-old Ramon Alberto Escobar has a long rap sheet in the U.S., and federal officials say he's been deported to his native El Salvador 6 times. Police in Houston would like to talk with him about the disappearance of his aunt and uncle. A high-profile former inmate speaking out about Bill Cosby's prison term.
OJ speaks out in support of Bill Cosby, who spent his first night in prison as he began his 3 to 10-year prison term for the sexual assault of Andrea Constand in 2004. Simpson said he is concerned Cosby will be attacked by some nut in prison, according to TMZ, who caught up with Simpson while golfing in Nevada. Simpson said the problem is the nature of the crime. He added, rapists are frowned upon in prison. I'm sure there will be guys protecting him. They're going to have to put him in protective custody. Simpson spent 9 years behind bars in Nevada for kidnapping and armed robbery. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
The University of Minnesota will award Prince an honorary degree posthumously to recognize his influence on music and his role in shaping his hometown of Minneapolis. Prince died of an accidental painkiller overdose in 2016. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
This GovGuam open enrollment season, GRMC recommends selecting Calvo Select Care to ensure the best care for your family, especially your children. We all hope for good health, but should an emergency arise, it's good to know your child is fully covered to receive the best medical care using the latest technology available. Your child deserves the best. Calvo Select Care is the only insurance plan that includes GRMC for GovGuam employees and retirees. GRMC, where patients are partners.
Kings for lunch. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to be thinking about. Today is Meatloaf Thursday. You remember in school, there was always one day where the cafeteria served something that you loved and said, it's my favorite day because today is pizza day at school. Today is going to be, I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, we had steakettes and mashed potatoes. I told you that.
Tater tots, right? Yeah, that's perfect. And so today, in my mind, is that kind of, the cafeteria is serving what we want. I want meatloaf for lunch. You find that at King's.
Honolulu, Seattle, LA, Vegas, Chicago, New York. With your first Hawaiian Bank United Mileage Plus credit card, you can save 10% on United flights to these great cities and anywhere else in the U.S. Book your tickets at the United City Ticket Office, talk to your travel agent, or go to united.com and use promo code FHB18U. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 18 for offer details and restrictions. Terms and conditions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
Wait, I'm looking at something. Tom Poole Said, here's a movie clip I made of the NASA B-57 taking off from the Guam airport a little over a year ago. Really beautiful old bird, writes Tom Poole. Because it was talking about the B-57s that were used in the Poseidon study of cirrus clouds over Guam in the fall, just like the kind that we have now. And so I thought, yeah, I would like to see something like that. 60-year-old airplane that they had to literally pull out of mothballs. And it had a bunch of them, apparently. Was part of the deal. Anyway, 7 after 9, and yeah, there's a couple of things I need to tell you about. Portions of the program brought to you by my very close friend, personal friends at American President Lines. Charlie is helping them ship the future. The guys over at American Water Tech, smarter water, better water. Guam Regional Medical City, where they're doing life-saving, right-now technology, open heart surgeries, and different kinds of catheter things that have never ever been done on Guam before. So think about those guys. And who else am I missing? Guam. The other guys, MRE, that is Micronesia Renewable Energy. Never been a better time to go solar.
Sometimes a penny saved can lead to much more than a penny earned. With GPA Energy Sense rebate program, the power is yours. Earn money back while saving on your monthly power bill. GPA Energy Sense rebate program will help lower your initial costs when purchasing approved GPA energy efficient appliances and upgrades with monthly savings you can expect. For more Energy Sense saving ideas, visit GuamPowerAuthority.com or like us on Facebook. GPA, bringing energy solutions to you.
What, there's more to tell you about? Like the incredible sandwiches waiting for you at Subway? Now, you know I'm a BMT kind of guy. I always have been. I mean, even going back to when the only Subway that we had on Guam was in Jigo. And you'd have to drive from Ganya or Tamuning all the way up to Jigo in order to try that. So the BMT was the first thing that I fell in love with. But they've also got a hot pastrami. And I would love if they had hot pastrami every single day. But they don't. It's for a limited time only. So start thinking about that when you want something that you know you're going to love made exactly the way you want it. Subway, huh? With the hot pastrami.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show.
Yeah, I gotta be careful here. I gotta be careful. I'm gonna play a video off the Facebook feed, and it'll be fine. I mean, technically, it will look great, but it's possible that there might be a flirty message coming up from somebody in the process. So that's just a warning. Here's the video that Tom Poole sent me of the B-57. Taken off at Guam International Airport sometime in the fall of 2016, I think is the way the story reads. And can you imagine that? It had been in the desert of Arizona when they found him and discovered that there were particular requirements that this airplane had, or the things that the airplane could do that are difficult for modern day airplanes to accomplish. So they dug these things out and cleaned them up, dusted them off, and they were flying again.
You know, just like cars, they don't build them like they used to when it comes to airplanes.
But what's the deal about Arizona? And there's Boneyard. It's one of my favorite places to go on the Google Earth,
right?
So that you can dig in and find this place. I mean, it's a huge complex where they've got virtually every kind of aircraft ever made.
Yeah. See, moisture destroys things.
Yeah.
And you don't get much of that in a desert. Air is fine. Heat is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Without moisture, not a problem.
Yeah.
So they store them down there so that they last longer in case they've got to pull them out.
So like one of the least humid places on the planet, right? It's like 0 or something.
Absolutely.
And so it basically has preserved these aircraft over all the years. But I still, end of the day, fascinating story, and I'm delighted that we get to share in that. And again, do a Google. No, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll because it's technology, right? Cut and paste. For those of you that are watching on Facebook Live this morning, let me paste this story so that you can go and look at it as well. Mission Resurrected is the piece from Air and Space. I'm digging it. 888-8255. Very close to personal friend Simon Sanchez on the line. How you doing, candidate for the CCU?
I'm doing well, Ray, and fellow pastrami sandwich lover. I love the pastrami that comes out of Subway.
Yeah.
Shameless plug for your partner there.
Well, the deal is you have that on the wrap because these days I'm trying to exclusively take my carbs from beer, and so I'm trying to cut out as much as possible breads and some of the things like that. So I still want the pastrami, but you can get it in wrap form. It's still carbs, but there's a whole lot less, right?
I do whole wheat, provolone toasted, and throw it on there.
So it's like that, right?
Yeah, no salt though. You do need salt when you're eating pastrami, right?
He
throw in just regular mustard, none of the fancy mustard. Give me that good regular mustard, and enjoy it. So I'm with you every time. It's like, I think it's like twice a year they bring it out for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I just cram as much pastrami. I mean, there's other good pastrami sandwich providers on Guam. They are, but that one just hits my taste buds like I think like it hits yours. It's just the way I grew up enjoying pastrami.
Mm-hmm.
That's the closest one to it, is the one Subway makes for me. I mean, I can go to the other sandwich places and still get a pastrami sandwich, but when Subway does it, I like that one.
Well, and it's 2 minutes through the line too, and then you can condiment it pretty much the way you want. It's the magic of it. 9:12 in the morning. I spent a little bit of time with Jeff Volcola from MRE a little bit earlier, and he expressed obviously his disappointment, and I will as well. It feels like if we make a change on the compensation rate for the net metering, it may make personal solar systems less palatable, less attractive to people, especially especially after you've done the spreadsheeting on it and all the costs associated with it. It might just be that one thing that where people go, it's just not worth the time, trouble, and expense of putting solar on the roof.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a tough issue, and it's hotly debated, not just in Guam. It's been hotly debated throughout the country. What's the right way to think about this? But remember, there's always two sides to the equation.
Mm-hmm.
There's a subsidy going to people that want to put a system on their roof. There's a subsidy. It's a purposeful subsidy. It was intended to be a subsidy, but it wasn't intended to be a perpetual subsidy. And these subsidies came out in the we've been arguing about this. The country's been dealing with this since the early 2000s as this whole issue began to emerge. And solar in the early 2000s is a lot different than solar today.
Mm.
And to the credit of everybody in that industry, right? I mean, it's really, when we're getting utility scale solar at 6 and 8 cents a kilowatt hour. The LEAC right now, Ray, is 15 cents. The energy we're going to get from these new solar farms when they're finally completed construction in about 2.5 years, that energy we're only going to be paying 6 to 8 cents for that, half the LEAC. So that's how we're going to save money for the entire community. But it begs the question. Right now, if you put a solar system on your own roof,
mm-hmm.
we're paying you 25 cents a kilowatt hour. And so the question on two sides of the equation is, so you got 50,000 ratepayers subsidizing 2,000 ratepayers at the tune of $3 million a year on top of the fuel. There's no argument on either side of the equation that if you put a system on your roof, you save us fuel.
Right.
So we will pay you 15 cents a kilowatt hour. The argument is about whether we should pay you 25 cents a kilowatt hour, especially when now we're getting energy at 6 to 8 cents a kilowatt hour with batteries, right? So, and that's a valid debate. What is the amount you should compensate individual solar providers for the energy they put into the grid?
Right.
What's a fair compensation rate? And that's where the argument has been going on for decades. And we, like many other communities, took the traditional net metering approach of full compensation.
Right.
But I think anyone that has watched the industry on both sides of the equation in the last 10 years have seen that's outdated. It's considered to be an unfair way to compensate for the energy and to subsidize the energy. And most communities have moved away to more sophisticated models because the technology is more sophisticated, because it even allows utility scale solar to be as cheap as it is. So when you're the CCU, you're sitting there going, I can get it for 6 to 8 cents, but I'm paying 2,000 people 25 cents. Is that fair to the non-utility owners?
Is there
50,000 people that don't have a system on their roof?
Is there a difference between the cash and credit? I mean, is that factored into the conversation? Because if I had a solar system on the roof and I was given, using 90% of what I'm generating and then send the other 10% to you, you're not actually sending me, you're not actually giving me any actual money here, as much as you're providing a credit. And depending on how well I have my system tuned, I may never dig into any of that credit.
No, we are actually paying to users of their own system by reducing their bill, which is like handing them a check, right? We are paying them $3 million a year on top of the fuel savings. And no one's arguing about the fuel savings. We'll give that all day.
Yeah.
Every community pays for their fuel savings. The debate, the discussion, the argument is about that 10 cents a kilowatt hour. Because here's the issue. When the solar provider goes dark at night, he's still using the transmission lines and the generators that everyone else is paying for. Yet at full credit, he doesn't pay for any of that. So right now, we're the battery for 95% of those 1,700 people that have a solar system on their roof. We're their battery, but they don't pay for it. And that's where the debate comes in. What is fair compensation? And should a solar provider, someone that puts a solar system on the roof by themselves, should they get full retail credit? And one of the things I caught a little bit of Jeff, and Jeff's a great guy. I mean, we've gone over this quite a bit of time, and we just have an honest disagreement with him. And I made a proposal Tuesday night, I think, that tried to balance it a little bit better. But we're not only going to reimburse people for fuel. John Beneventi's proposal will reimburse for fuel, and we will reimburse a little bit more because they do save us line losses. We agree with them on that, but we don't agree with them on everything else should be free. You know, out of your 10 cents a kilowatt hour, there's debt service for the generators, the concrete poles, the transformers, and distribution lines that serve the whole community. There's people working at those generators. There's labor. There's repairs and maintenance to those generators and distribution systems. Right now, that's only paid for by 50,000 people, and 2,000 people get all of that for free. They give us energy, and we pay them 25 cents, but when they take energy from us, we have to offset that. We don't get all the money back, right? So the net effect is, at the end of the day, 1,700 people, the subsidy is about $3 million a year right now. And John B's concern was, if you got 3,500 customers, it's going to be $6 million a year. And if you have 5,000 customers, it's going to be $9 million a year. The non-fuel portion of your bill is only $130 million a year. So 3 out of 130, okay, we can tolerate it. 6 out of 130, 9 out of 130, 12 out of 130. All of a sudden, you're having to raise rates to pay people not using their own system, but still needing the system. You're paying them a lot of money, and the non-users are having to pay it. Yet, if we put a utility scale plan up, everyone benefits and gets 6 to 8 cents a kilowatt hour power versus us paying 25 cents.
Yeah, and that was a point that I was making with Ray Haddock. I mean, and it shows that there is an investment that the utility wants to make in solar, but it's still solar under the control and under the purview of the utility, not necessarily this kind of free and independent distributed generation system that they are talking about. And that's the way some people look at it. Is we're not. It's not so much a question of what we're subsidized. What the utility is subsidizing these users, it's the contribution from these users to the rest of the grid that they're looking at. So it's just a question, as you point out, how are they going to get compensated? How will the utility pay for this distributed generation? And I think that's where the loggerheads. You're right. It's an honest debate that's taking place. But let me see if I can frame this question properly or this comment properly with regard to that. So you've got these guys that they've got the solar systems on their roofs that they've had on the roof for 4 and 5 years. They were number 1 and 2 and 3 of the solar customers, and they designed those systems, built those systems based on a certain model and based on a certain compensation rate. Is it fair to them to change that now?
Yeah, and so here's if you built your own, let's ignore. There's 2 kinds of systems being built on Guam. There's people that take their own money, put their own system on a roof, and there's people that lease a system, no money down, and they go to providers. They don't even own the system. They just lease the equipment that's on the roof. And the provider of that system, they get the credits, right? They get the tax credit. So those 2 audiences exist, right? And the question before all of us is, I don't mind. Yes, you save me fuel, so I'll pay you for fuel. Mm-hmm. But there's a big argument about you don't reduce our generation costs, and you use us at night, right? You reduce any of our other costs. And they debate that. They say we do reduce the cost. But John B. did a study. They brought in their study. John B., his engineering and his background says no. And part of John B., I asked him about this. I said, what about penetration? Because there's a valid argument that says our penetration is kind of low. But he pointed out, and Chairman Duenas pointed out the same thing. Kauai, which is one of my favorite models, it's a publicly owned utility. They completely got rid of them. They said you either you go on your own, or if you come with us, then we're going to limit what we pay you. And they limited their penetration to only 6% of peak, right? And right now we're almost at 5% of peak. Smaller systems like ours that don't get to spread their costs across a big universe of consumers are more adversely impacted by an unfavorable NEM than larger systems. And when we see another publicly owned entity cutting off NEM and moving to a totally different system and limiting it because they realize the burden that gets shifted to the non-owners of these systems, that's problem one. Number two, people that put it on their system with the tax credit and the full reimbursement they've had, they've already got their money back. We show it very clearly. If you put in your own money and you were getting full NEM, you're going to get your money in 5 to 7 years. So the question is, why should we pay you for 25 years for a system that you got your money back in 7 years when you only save us fuel for the remaining 18 years? We gave you back your money. We got you going. The subsidy paid for your system. Should we pay you 25 cents for the next 18 years after you got your money back when you only save us 15 cents? And that's one of the debates. People that rent the system, that's a non-issue for them. They don't even own the system.
Right.
The provider owns the system. He took the tax credit. Did he pass the tax credits on to these people? We don't know. We don't have any control of that, right? But for those that did invest in, by now, within 5 to 7 years at full NEM retail reimbursement, you get your money back in 5 to 7 years. Why should we pay you that for 25 years? You got your money back.
Yeah. Well, as I said, it's a very interesting debate, and there's a lot of different angles on it. And I'm just trying to what I would like to see is more opportunities for people to put solar on their roof. So I don't know. I'm looking for some other way that there are ways that we can encourage this kind of thing. And I think when we start talking about the compensation rate, which is a factor, I think, for a lot of people's decisions, I worry that if we make too many changes on that and reduce it too much, it will be a disincentive for people to explore this kind of technology, regardless of what it is the utility wants to do with their big solar farms that are out there.
But you got to remember, the utility has to worry about the other 50,000 people.
No, I'm not disagreeing.
We are now the largest provider of renewable energy on Guam. And when we put the 120 megs on that we just contracted, and we put the 45 megs on from the Navy, by 2021, we're going to have 25% of our energy coming from renewable energy, of which 90% of it is coming from the utility. But we have to think about the other 50,000 that don't have money to put something on their roof. Apartment owners, businesses. We can say we can get you 6 to 8 cents a kilowatt hour for energy versus 15 cents a kilowatt hour for oil-fueled energy. That's a savings that shares with the entire community.
Not just the guys that have the systems on their roof.
We're not going to stop doing that.
Let me get a couple of comments. Let me get a couple of comments on the Facebook Live and share them with you for your comments. Ismail says solar users don't get anything from GPA for free. Those lines and poles were already paid for. Solar users just became solar users, so it's not like they've been users for a decade. So I think it's a question of the application of those sunk costs.
That doesn't make any sense. Right now, we're paying somebody to run that generator. That's not past cost. That's current cost right now, right? When we fix a pole, when we repair a generator, those are current costs. It's not like the system was invested in 20 years ago and we don't put any more money into it. You're always putting money into the system. You're always hiring labor to run the generators, climb the poles, install new customers, repair and maintain. Costs are continuous. So the question becomes, since there's a cost to maintain the overall system, what should we charge or not charge those people that have solar systems on their roof for when they do use our system? And they use our system especially because, and I think Jeff would agree with me, battery technology is going in the right direction. We are so excited about that.
Yes.
But right now, it's hard for you to afford a battery that could take you off the grid all day, every day. You never need GPA. It would be very expensive, which is why you don't see a lot of people with batteries. It's expensive, right? But that will come down over time, and there will be a time where someone could say, hey, I don't need GPA. I'll just put my own solar system, and I'll put my battery on. But between now and then, people that have solar systems
Still got to go back to GPA at night or when it's too cloudy. 9:26. Si, let me bring it. Bob Kelly's been wanting to chime in on this subject all morning long. It's great to get two smart guys on the radio at the same time.
Great.
Hi. I just wanted to say good morning, Simon. First off, a disclaimer. I'm not in the solar business. I'm not part of GPA, but I do understand how rates have to be made for utilities, whether it's water, electric, or I've done a lot of study on that. And what we're dealing here is GPA should pay the people who generate power their avoided costs. And it has to be fairly done that they take as much as possible all the avoided costs. But if they pay more than the avoided cost, you're in essence selling back at retail and buying at retail when you should be selling at the wholesale base rate without the line transmission, distribution, and infrastructure costs. And the difference is GPA has become your battery. Instead of you going out and paying $4,000 for a battery, you're paying a difference of that power for GPA to be your battery, and you don't put it in. But there's the advantage of the battery. You don't have to worry about the avoided costs. You keep all your power, and if there's a power outage, you've got some power to run your system. So then you don't need to buy a generator. So it's just a matter of economics, but you should not expect, Ray, for GPA to pay full rate for something that they're only an avoided cost of 10 or 15 cents. That makes no sense to any other user.
The points, though, the point has been made is that these models, these plans, these contracts, especially with the rented systems, are designed for a certain time period worth of payback, and there's disagreement over whether 7 years is long enough, or is it too long, or is it 25 years? But I suppose the other question I wanted to take was, are we actually grandfathering anybody in, or are the current payback rates going to sunset?
Okay, so two things. First off,
hold on, Bob.
I'm sorry. It's two answers. First off, Bob Kelly has it exactly right.
Yes.
And one of the things we did is we take the position, or John, we've taken the position that, hey, avoided costs, we'll reimburse you for. That's why we'll pay for fuel, and we'll pay for some transmission and distribution savings, because there are some. But beyond that, that's not fair to the other members of the other ratepayers who are having to subsidize and provide services to people who aren't paying for it. So Bob Kelly has it exactly correct. That's exactly how most communities have looked at it, and why most communities have left them in the dust. They're looking at more sophisticated models. We went to avoided costs. Jeff's group came to something called the value of solar.
Yes.
There's an argument about that going on in the country. Is it avoided costs? Is it the value of solar? People say solar advocates say the value of solar is almost full retail. Avoided costs proponents say, no way, it's fuel plus a little bit more. John B. made his recommendation to go to avoided costs. We looked at their study. They did a study, and Jeff paid for it, and it was great. But we felt, and John B. felt, that some of their comparisons were not. They were saying, for example, that they save us 4 cents a kilowatt hour on hedging. We don't hedge. We don't hedge at all. So how can you say we should pay you 4 cents a kilowatt hour out of that 10 for hedging when we don't hedge?
Well, and Joe Rosario online on Facebook asking about, there are other offsets that were mentioned in that value of solar study that came out as well, talking about societal benefits, environmental benefits, and things like that. Because we're not having to spend a whole lot of money on environmental studies as we build these centralized plants, as we can save that when we start doing distributed generation.
Well, okay, I think I see what Joe's saying, but Joe, we're getting utility scale at 6 to 8 cents a kilowatt hour with storage. Why would we pay 25 cents a kilowatt hour for temporary energy, and you don't even store it? We're your battery. Just what Bob said. We are the battery. So that's the side of the equation I think that our solar friends don't see. Now, one of the compromises we made, John B.'s recommendation was to immediately go to the avoided cost model and do it day one for all future customers. And I proposed, I said, John, that's 2 rates. You got 2 different people. Why don't we let's phase it down? And I had proposed 8 years. The commission said 5 years. But we did agree, and Francis Santos and I talked about it, that said, look, if we're going to phase it down for 5 years, it applies to everybody. So if you join the system now, if you put in a new system now, you'll get the current rate, and you will now know that rate is going to step down over 5 years. And if you're in the no money down business, or if you're in the no money down customer, your supplier now knows that rate will step down over 5 years. John wanted to go to zero, just to
do it right away.
Fuel only. Right, and I said no, and we all agreed. So the commission said, all right, it phases down over 5 years, but it applies to everyone. Anyone that's been on the system for 3-5 years, by the time you've stepped it down, you've clearly gotten your money back. And then I asked John to do another thing, and he showed that even when we reimburse you for fuel for the next 10, 15 years that your system is good, you get more than your money back. So you're going to get your money back for your facility on your roof, and you're going to get money from fuel savings thereafter, which you should get. And when you add them two together, you got your money back.
All right, sound like I got a couple of guys here, and for the people that are still wrestling with the
comments.
Yeah, well, hold on a second. For the people that are still wrestling, this now is the other side of the conversation that I had with Jeff Voakola in the 7 o'clock hour. All right, Bob.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, there's a statement. GPA has to keep a battery and/or spinning reserve running, so that whenever a cloud goes over your system, if you don't have a battery, they can immediately pick up the load that is lost. That costs spinning reserve cost of the generators running in spinning reserve, maintenance operation, or maintaining and operating a battery so that you have a median. Now, batteries are over the long run cheaper if we get the prices down. And I really commend GPA for reducing spinning reserve and putting batteries in.
How immediate is that? I talked a little bit about the concept of these very, very smart grid tie inverters that they have that are addressable and will be able to talk back to dispatch, so that when there is a need for more electricity in an area where you've got this distributed generation, then GPA can throttle up and send more off in that direction.
Without spinning reserve, it doesn't happen instantly. You can't have a generator in cold and suddenly there's a cloud and get it on in the time.
But if GPA's got these battery systems that we're talking about, then you do have that spare capacitance.
Okay, so now you're wanting GPA to pay for the battery.
As far I'm done arguing. I'm just saying, what are the opportunities using new technology, guys? You get into fight mode, you just want to stay there.
Tesla's got a
new
much
technology, Ray.
Yeah.
That new technology is allowing us to get 6 to 8 cents a kilowatt. Bob's got it right. The batteries will become cheaper and cheaper, and this conversation will be less painful as the batteries become cheaper, because people can then decide, do I want to even be a customer of GPA? But in the meantime, GPA has to worry about when clouds go over 1,700 customers' houses and all of a sudden they're not making 17 megs, they're making 12 megs. Someone's got to pick up that 5 megs, and not an hour from now. You got to pick it up instantly.
Right.
And so you have to have spinning reserve. You have to have those generators. They go up, they go down. There's a cost to having those generators around. And right now, our solar partners that have their own systems pay nothing for those costs, but they benefit from them. And that's why we're saying you can't just get a free lunch forever.
And one more question for Ray. Ray, you've got businesses that buy power. You have home power and so on. Not all of what you do is solar. Do you really want your bill to be somewhat higher so that you can pay the people who bought solar not to have to pay for their impacted costs or being able to get more than what their avoided costs are? Do you want to pay the difference for those people out of your power bill? Because it comes out of your power bill now.
At some point, yes. We've got to continue. The answer to the question is no, I don't want to pay anything that I don't need to pay. And if it comes down to having freeloaders out there somewhere, if that's what they're going to be determined, you know how I feel about freeloaders and free riders. But to the
they're not.
I don't consider them free riders now.
Fuel. They save us fuel, and we'll pay you for fuel. The debate is beyond the fuel that you avoid as a cost for GPA. Bob's got the right phrase. It's avoided cost. The cost you avoid for us, we will pay you for because you save us that money. But to pay you more than avoided cost, That's where the country
that's where JB's and I get it. That's where JB's $3 million is coming from, and the concern that as the industry grows, that those figures will be the same. I understand it. I understand the nature of the debate, and I can see both sides of it. And for me, it changes. You talk to one guy, and here's another side of the argument. So that's when I call you to get the other side of your argument.
Right, but again, if you look at the industry around, at least in America and Europe, they've left them quite a while ago. It's not the best way to compensate, and most of them have gone to a model that compensates them for avoided costs, which is fuel plus a little bit for distribution and transmission.
Sure,
that's it. And now we're going to the proposal, and the good news is this goes to the Public Utilities Commission, and I know Jeff and his team, they'll talk to the PUC, and they're going to say we don't agree, and they're going to make their case, and they get to make that case, and John B. will make his case, and we'll see what those independent citizens decide to do. And we'll live with their decision. But so the two arguments will be presented now to the PUC. We were tasked with, once you get to 1,000 customers, tell us how it was working and what changes you would recommend. Well, we're now at 1,700 customers. We went 2 years of studying. We accepted a value of solar study by Jeff's group. We did our own avoided cost study. Our management, John B., says, when I look at the two studies, I'm with avoided cost. Therefore, we should reduce the subsidy from full retail to something less than full retail, fuel plus a little bit more. And that's what we should be paying for the net energy that is given to GPA. Remember, it's a net energy. They give us energy during the day. We give them energy at night. They don't give us as much energy during Typhoon Mangkhut. We give them more energy. We net it out at the end of the month. We net it out at the end of the year. And if you gave us more than we gave you, then we will pay you for that extra energy. And the debate is, what should we pay you? 25 cents, 16 cents. GPA has now come down on the side of avoided cost. It's an over-subsidy to give you full retail because you don't save us those costs on the non-fuel portion. And yet we're rewarding you as if you do save us those costs. That's where I agree. Bob's got it exactly right. That's the subsidy. And if you're going to subsidize any class of customers, you always have to evaluate, is the subsidy fair to those receiving the subsidy and those paying the subsidy? And John B. has said it's becoming unfair to the ones paying the subsidy that are overpaying for the net energy that does come from a solar, the 1,700 that make their own solar energy most of the time, but not at night.
Question from Joe Rosario, just real quick. They've asked 100 questions that were posed to GPA and the Consolidated Commission on Utilities, and my understanding from Jeff is that those questions weren't answered. Will they be in time for the Public Utilities Commission to indulge in this debate?
Well, I would respectfully disagree with Joe and Jeff on that. We had 2 years of meetings, public hearings, back and forth. We let them do their study. We looked at their study. We did our study. So we asked all those 100 questions. We want to be fair, and we're asking the same questions that Jeff is asking. But the difference of opinion is the answers that John B. and we ended up being comfortable with were more on avoided costs than what Jeff is asking us to do. And that's okay. I mean, they've got their points. We've got our points. A decision has to be made. The PUC said, tell us what happens after 1,000. We're up to 1,700 customers. And one thing I wanted to point out that no one talks about, right? The amount of new solar customers has dropped dramatically in the last 18 months. We used to get 500, 700, 800 a year. There was a 2-year period where we got a whole bunch, and now we're getting barely 20 a month. And they're almost all no money down, right? Where some people are signing these agreements saying, hey, just do me for 25 years, I'll sign it, right? And some of those agreements, in my personal opinion, I look at those and go, really? Yeah. Okay, but let the buyer beware. You sign that contract. But we're not getting a lot of solar hookups anymore.
Well, I would hope that bias doesn't take part in any conversations that you have at the commission level.
No, because at the end of the day, it's up to the customer to decide if they want for whom they want to buy their system or not. That's up to them. But we do become concerned when we do have some of those customers coming to us and saying, hey, what do you think of my agreement? We're going, seems a little pricey from our point of view. And remember, the ones that are providing the lease systems, they took the 30% investment tax credit. They took the accelerated depreciation. The question we have that we don't have the answer to, nor will we ever have.
But they're also coming up with thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment and technology that is zero money down. So I mean, there's got to be some balance in their model as well.
Right, but they're getting their money back with accelerated depreciation and investment tax credit. They're getting their money back just as fast as the guy that took his own money out, 5 to 8 years. These systems are going to last 20 to 25 years. So they're going to get their money 2 or 3 times back from some of these no money down leases over a 25-year period.
Man, I love the conversation. I wish I had more time for it. Everybody, I was going to say, stay where you are, but I don't know. I got Clay wants to make a couple of comments here, and I've heard we've been talking for a little bit now, so I'm going to let you go, Si.
Good, great conversation.
Yeah, isn't it?
Thank you, Jeff. It's a great conversation. A decision has to be made. We'll see what the PUC says.
Exactly. That's where it goes at the end of the day. Si, I'll talk to you pretty soon. Bobby, you about finished?
Yes.
Okay. Next time we talk, we'll talk about some other interesting technology that's floating around. You have a fantastic day. And Clayton, coming your way after this. 9:41 is iConnect time. Practical choice. Whew, easier conversation to have about push-to-talk and mobile and internet plans, because it's all basically one thing and nobody's subsidizing. We don't have to go to the PUC for too many of those conversations. Call 888-8888 and find out why iConnect is the practical choice.
Morrico Equipment is the exclusive Freightliner truck dealer in Guam and Micronesia. That exclusive part is important because Morrico Equipment can sell new Freightliner trucks with the 2004 Mercedes diesel engine. If you operate trucks on Guam, then you know how important and reliable the old diesel engines are. The Mercedes diesel engine only in Freightliner trucks operates on both old and new diesel fuel. They do not require DEF fluid or engine regeneration. Freightliner trucks, only at Morrico Equipment.
Portions of the program brought to you by my friends over at Wendy's. Have you seen the new salad they've got there? I've been talking about it, and I still haven't had a chance to eat it. Maybe today is the day to try the new Harvest Chicken Salad with all kinds of flavors. Lettuce, crisp bread and green apples, dried cranberries, and the perfect combination of applewood smoked bacon. What? Bacon and salad? What? You gotta say it like the guy in the movies. What? Exclamation point, question mark. There's a word for that. Did you know? Yeah, there's a name for that.
Really?
Yes. You know who told me that? Carla Gutierrez told me that.
Oh, okay.
She'd written me something, and I put right with the question mark explanation point and question mark.
Yeah.
And she said, there's a name for that.
What is it called?
I don't know.
I'll look that up.
I'll have to look it up in the thing.
Look that up.
What? Anyway, so we got this smoked bacon, crumbled feta cheese, apple cider vinaigrette. Let me say vinaigrette one more time until it makes your mouth tingle. And brown sugar roasted walnuts. Lots of flavors, lots of textures, lots of food at Wendy's.
Cavo Select Care continues to provide great benefits for GovGuam with affordable rates. Get free access to our gym partners. Earn up to $300 with our gym fitness rewards. Earn up to $200 with our wellness rewards. Choose from a wider selection of medical providers on Guam and off island. With all of these benefits, staying with Cavo Select Care is that much easier. GovGuam employees and retirees, enroll today.
Cheese curls and hot sauce, pantosta and coffee. Great alone, but better together. Here's another perfect pair for you. Docomo Pacific has created the Better Together bundle, combining 2 great services for one low price. Get unlimited local talk, text, and 20 gigs of data, plus unlimited home internet speed up to 20 megabits for $109 per month. You also get free installation and a Galaxy A8 Plus when you sign up today. Mobile plus online from Docomo Pacific. Better Together. Some conditions apply. Call 688-KRC store for details.
You're totally making me look it up, aren't you? So I gotta go into the conversation. Yeah, it must not have been on Facebook then. It must have been in another one of these vehicles, these platforms for conversation. I was scolded by somebody. And I was scolding us because there's somebody we do business with here. And I said, I sent you a message about getting together and having a meeting. And she said, you did? When? I said, a couple of weeks ago. And you haven't answered. She said, where'd you send it? I said, Facebook.
Oh.
And she said, are we related? You send it to me on Facebook? I just figured, because you're on Facebook all the time, you were going to see that. I don't have your WhatsApp, and I'm too lazy to ask somebody for your phone number, so that's what that was. Anyway, so yeah, I've gotten all that squared away. 9:45 in the morning, and I got my buddy Clay on the line. How you doing there, Clay?
I'm good, Ray. So, I plunked down $34,000 a little over a year ago for a solar system, and I needed to 30% tax credit, so that helped. $10,000 less going to the government.
Nice.
So I kind of have I have an amortized payback, for my system based upon the current reimbursement rate, and I thought, well, that's sweet, and then all of this conversation about changing the rates and whatnot, and I'm going, well, crap, I'm getting screwed. But Simon makes a very cogent argument, so did Bob Kelly, that it's got to have some sense to it, and I recognize that there are costs that I'm being subsidized for. I like that, I've subsidized the government a lot, but I can't honestly say that I want GPA and their whole operation to suffer simply because I made a different choice as to how I'm going to get some power. So, I would like to see the PUC go with the 8-year plan of phasing it out rather than 5. But I can live with the 5. I mean, okay, my payback is going to be, it's not going to be as quick, but again,
let me give you something else that'll help you ease your anxiety here a little bit. Right now, what did he say we're paying? 15 cents per kilowatt hour, and that's the avoided cost that will always be there on the fuel side, right? Well, I imagine that as oil prices continue to climb, whether it's gradual and imperceptible or whether it takes a couple of big jumps, what will happen is the value of your solar system will increase because of that credit that you're going to be earning on a new, larger, higher avoided cost of fuel.
Yeah, 5 years down the road, solar panels are going to be so much more efficient that I can probably put in a new system with 1/3 the panels and probably get better production. So,
well, I would continue to use the same number of panels and feed my system more electricity because the price at some point will. Number one, you can add more stuff to your own electrical grid, and number two, your savings, as you say, you're a little bit more efficient. And number three, what's the third one here? Is there's just make more electricity.
Well, I'm looking at down the road when batteries get cheaper. I'm looking at that. So.
Oh yeah, and you'll be able to use that to drive the charge on the. That was the third thing. You'll be able to drive the more charge into the battery systems that everybody is going to buy. And at the end of it, I think the great. It's not a question of I'm now making electricity. I'm now covering some of my costs that I'd normally be paying to the utility. At some point, we believe the goal, the holy grail of this is for Clayton and Ray to have systems on their roofs that are untangled completely from the Guam power system.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I understand Jeff's side of things. I bought my system from MRE, and I understand the business model end. I was at one point in time almost ready to plunk down $3 million to do it on a commercial basis, but it was the insurance thing that was the stumbling block. So it all went away. So I understand Jeff's perspective, and what's going to happen when PUC finally does change things. The business model in Guam for solar power providers is going to change dramatically. And the shakeout will be those that are well entrenched and well financed and are dealing with, some big companies, because it's the power purchase agreement thing that they're going to make money off that. Seeing these big solar providers that are betting on the local distributors, they're going to have to sharpen their pencil. Well, what it'll do, I understand Jeff's perspective from the business model. He'll be one of the survivors.
Oh, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, and
no doubt in my mind.
There's some other smaller companies that won't survive. Well, it is what it is. But I like when Simon comes on and explains stuff because he's thorough. He's always been a very thorough businessman. He was a very thorough politician, and he's very thorough in his capacity at CUC. So when he explains something to me, I understand it, and invariably I can agree with it because, you know.
Because you feel like you've got more details. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, I mean, kudos to him, and I'm just going to have to live with it.
Well, no, kudos to me for putting him on the air. You're patting the wrong back here, buddy.
Kudos to you. But, you know, I mean, if I keep paying a $50 power bill every month and it goes up to, you know, 75 or 80, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, it still ain't $300, right? Clay, it's...
Well, it would have been $450.
Do me and just for the listeners, because I know that you have been there recently, if not in the last 24 hours, maybe the last 2 hours. What's the last item that you bought at Home Depot?
The last item that I bought at Home Depot is I bought some straps this morning for my extension cords, and I bought some electrical supplies. And I'm due to go back there again I'm there 3 times a day. I'm usually there by 6:30.
I knew it.
This is one of the few times I've actually called you, and I'm not in Home Depot.
See what I mean? Well, I'll see you there later. I got a couple of things I got to pick up as well. All right, buddy. Thanks, Clay. I appreciate your input this morning, as I appreciate everybody's input, whether it's on Facebook Live or the emails, raygibsonshow@gmail.com, on the phone line at 888-8255, or in the other new technology way that people are using to participate is WhatsApp. And before too much longer, all of the other radio stations will do it, but we're first. 988-5874. That's 988-5874. We'll be able to take your WhatsApp comments and your pictures and put them online. I had recently asked for, you'll recall, in a recent King's commercial,
right.
I said it would be great if we had a meme that we could put up.
Sure.
When it's time to play or to talk about meatloaf.
Yeah.
In particular.
Meat
and
cake.
did somebody send me a thing? Yes,
course.
somebody sent me a meme. Hey, Mom, the meatloaf.
Everybody likes meatloaf, don't they?
Who doesn't? Anyway, so go eat that at King's. 988-5874. Technology, use the new stuff. A couple of things that I want to make sure that I had an opportunity to talk about today, because as usual, more stuff than I've got time for. The American Medical Center recognizes that an increasing number of our island senior citizens need better access to health care. AMC has joined forces with Medicare experts from off-island to expand our existing team of skilled health care professionals. They will extend its facilities on Guam by opening a 3rd specialty clinic in the very near future. Join Dr. Tien Trin at the Dededo Mayor's office today at 11. Okay. I should have read this earlier, but was busy. So today, from 11 to noon at the Dededo Mayor's office, and find out more about your Medicare benefits. And you're getting older, Mike. You need to start learning up about the Medicare. Tune in tomorrow morning about 7:40 or so, 7:45, where I will have an opportunity, very rare opportunity, to unbox some killer technology. There is now on Guam Apple Watch Series 4. And before too much longer, Apple XS phones. Tomorrow, I will unbox an Apple Watch Series 4 before your very eyes.
You know, seriously, I cannot remember the last time I wore a wristwatch.
I wear a wristwatch every day.
It's been forever.
I've always worn a
wristwatch. When cell phones came out, I was like, well, why bother? I got a phone on my, I got a clock on my phone, for crying out loud.
I have always worn it, and this is what my hand looks like without a watch on it, and you can see this doesn't, as much as I tan, right? As much as I'm out in the sun, I always take the watch off, but it's still taking a while for this part to get to be the same color as everything else, because I've always worn a watch. It feels uncomfortable now not having it on my, on my hand.
Up until, I guess, 2000-something, I probably wore one all the time as well. But then once the phones came out with the clocks, I was like, why bother?
So, this is kind of freaking me out. Then there was a time where I actually tried to wear the watch opposite. Where,
I had a school teacher that would do that. That way, when he got bored with what you were saying, he'd scratch his head and
he could look at the time and go, okay, I've spent too much time on this topic, 9:55. And that's maybe what people are going to be doing with these Apple Watches, because they're information machines. That's what they do. I was having a conversation with a woman, and which is not in and of itself unusual, but I'm having this conversation, and used to be to have a furtive glance over at the phone on the table.
Right.
No, she would make this furtive glance at her watch.
Ooh.
And I'm like, you're totally not paying attention to me. This was a short dinner. 9:56. Okay, and finally, I'm not a big fan of much of what's on television,
right?
And even less of a fan of so-called reality television. But there was a show that I would watch whenever young Mason would put it on the television, and it was the show where the guys go in and they bid sight unseen on the contents.
Oh yeah.
Of something wars,
Storage Wars.
Storage Wars,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's great because then they picked it up not only in Texas but in a couple other states.
It's everywhere,
yeah,
right?
It's great.
So we there's the possibility we could have one of our own. GU Self Storage, right? That's Leonard Calvo's place up next to McDonald's in Harmon.
Okay, yeah.
GU Self Storage will be holding its first public auction Saturday at 10.
Wow.
Cash and carry only. Be sure to bring a photo ID and arrive early so you have time to register. Must be 18 to bid. For additional information, call, I don't know, Terry or Ray or Leonard at GU Self Storage, 748-7867. 648-7867. So it's possible that you might be able to be the guy that unlocks the gizmo and sees what's inside and says, yes, a big score. There's antiques, there's rare coins. Or it's possible you could be the guy that opens it up and it's a room full of junk, less valuable than the junk that you've got in the container next to you. So our own version of Storage Wars. Again, this is going to be taking place Saturday, 10 a.m. over at GU Self Storage. I'm in love with the idea, and we'll see if we can scare one of these guys up and get some conversation about this.
But are you going?
Saturday,
I think I might. I mean, I'm out of here at 10, man, and it's right down the street.
Saturday morning at 10, yeah, and they are right. I've actually used them. I don't have anything there now. I needed to use that as a bridge before I was moving stuff from one place to another, yeah. And so I had a couple of months worth of a lease. And I got to tell you, I really liked it. I really liked the convenient location. You use your own key, and they give you a access number where you can go inside and do all of that.
Did you have one
stuff.
with electricity?
They're all no.
Then you could put a hot plate in there and you can just hang out for a while.
I was thinking about it. If my phone's charged, then I can just sit there and watch television.
Hey, and you get the ones with the climate control.
Very
nice.
Absolutely crazy. A crazy thing that we've gotten to the point now where apparently there are enough people that haven't paid their bill and they're going to auction off all of the stuff on the inside. But it's also, maybe this is also kind of a warning to you. If you have got a GU Self Storage membership and you haven't paid your bill, they're about to auction your junk off, buddy. Don't let them auction your junk, man. It's 9:59 already on the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. And I think this is going to be a fun day ahead of me. I keep getting words from my friends about that yoga and wine thing. Two great tastes that taste great together. There's going to be light shows and yoga pants and wine. And how much fun is that going to be?
The only thing they're missing is Pink Floyd.
Maybe we'll get some of that. 888-8255. Keep that number handy. Use it to call Bob Klitsky this afternoon at 4 p.m. Again, tomorrow morning we'll unbox an Apple Watch. We'll hear from now public auditor, because we've only talked to him once since he's been in the new gig, BJ Cruz. Who knows what other excitement will come and find us, what other political gossip and fun memes and crazy videos are going to find their way into my WhatsApp, 988-5874. For Michael Knight doing the weather and answering the phones, and Kevin Kerrigan doing the news, and Blake Watson doing the sports, this is Ray Gibson saying, have an awesome, awesome Thursday. See you when it's Friday.
Tried to yell for help. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The woman who accuses Judge Brett Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct believes he was going to rape her when they were teenagers at a party. Transcript of Christine Blasey Ford's prepared statement to the Senate Judiciary Committee have been released as President Trump defends his pick. Fox's Steve Rappaport has more live.
Lisa, Christine Blasey Ford will tell lawmakers she was pushed from behind into a bedroom before Kavanaugh and his friend Mark Judge locked the door. Ford claims Kavanaugh got on top of her and tried taking her clothes off but had a hard time because he was drunk, and she says the assault drastically altered her life. President Trump continues to stand by Kavanaugh after several women accused him of misconduct.
These are all false to me. These are false accusations in certain cases.
But the president at a news conference would not rule